use them. Hey, welcome to the Bob and Tam Show. I got something banging against my head.
Yep.
It's a plant. We're actually in our daughter's house. We're over in sunny California.
Cold?
Santa Monica.
Starting to get
No, we're not in
warm
Santa
at
Monica.
home.
We're in Huntington Beach.
They used to live in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I was just reading an article about Santa Monica. They turned down the volleyball the Olympics. They turned it down because it was going to cost the city too much money. So tell us how we sound, because I didn't bring our regular microphone. We're using the microphone. It's on this little camera that's mounted to the computer. So let me get this all going. And
Janice is on, it looks like, and Mike's on. So looks like a lot of people have been talking. You see it's up here. Dusty Rhodes is on. So check his channel out, Dusty Country Garage. That's Mike. Used to be Mohawk Mike. Now he's Dusty Country Garage. So Janice is on. Thought Karen said she would pop on. I can't see that. There we go. Now I can see. Neil says hi. Oh, is he not coming on? Where's Neil at? How come he's not on?
I don't know. I wrote him and told him.
I don't know. Janice says, Neil says hi. Mike's on. Mike says, sound is good. Thank you. There's Charlie from New Hampshire checking in. How you doing, Charlie? Yeah, you guys are going to have a big turnout there for Laconia. Hello and salute from St. Marie. Salute S-T-E Marie. That's Karen.
And that could be Kevin.
Oh.
And I think that's in Canada.
Oh, Kevin. Sorry, I should put my glasses on.
Yeah,
I thought it said Karen. Kevin. All right. Hey, Kevin. Janice says he was too busy. He's probably still in the midst of packing and moving. Skippy's on. Hey, Skippy, how are you? And I didn't bring the right glasses for my shirt, but that's okay. Oh, Charlie says from New Hampshire, it's snowing up there. Somebody forgot to tell you guys it's spring. Winter's over.
Well, I see the rain. It was like in the 30s last night. They were supposed to get rain all along the eastern coast, northern eastern coast. So for you. So it's cold here. It's 72 degrees.
Cold for me. It was just finally starting to get
95 when we left. 102 yesterday.
That's my favorite.
And so we went to Vegas. Had to go to the doctor, do that. We ended up staying all night. Didn't really get a whole lot done over there while we were there. Is what it was. So we're kind of a little bit behind. Tomorrow, while we're not doing a live on Sunday, actually next 2 weeks probably not. This week is because tomorrow night I have tickets to go see Jay Leno. He does in Homosimo Beach over here. He does a stand-up there. And you can get in, it's like $30 a person. And if you get there by 5 o'clock, they have dinner. It costs, of course. But you sit right up front on the stage. It's really cool. We've been trying to get him to get into his place. I don't know if I'll have any time to talk to him tomorrow or not. But I'm always afraid. He's had a lot of health issues. A lot of things have happened to him. I started thinking about him a couple weeks ago, and I thought, when's the next time we're going to go over to California? I want to see if we can see Jay Leno. And ended up it worked out right because she's got to go to the doctor Tuesday.
Monday.
And for her checkup here. And then we'll probably go back home on Tuesday. So lots of stuff. So we've been really busy. So no live tomorrow. And next Sunday, of course, is Easter. So I don't know if we'll do something maybe on Saturday again. We'll see how this video turns out today. If we get a lot of lookers, because I didn't put a video out today. Did I put one out yesterday? Yeah. So it was a little screwed up with the video that we put out. The first one turned out really well. I was pretty pleased with the second one here. A couple people kind of moaned and groaned about talking about Harley-Davidson. They didn't think it was very professionally done. Some of you guys didn't catch. Somebody was making fun of her, and you guys nobody caught it. Didn't say anything. And
I say something wrong?
No, I said you smiled too much when I was talking about all the things happening. So they said you must definitely be happy about it. I said, well, you don't really know anything about her then, because that's why she always looks, even at a funeral.
I'll be smiling. No, I'm going to do my own eulogy, and everybody's going to get up, and we're all going to do the Macarena or the electric slide or something. You ain't all going to be sitting there crying.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. I got some more information because I'm probably not going to do another video, but we got some more information on what's going on with Harley-Davidson. We also got some more inside information from somebody from corporate. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So we'll give you some insight on that. We're going to talk a little bit about Sturgis. We got a bunch of good information today, which I'm going to do another video next week. But for those that want to hang around tonight, you can hear some good information, some tidbits on Sturgis, what's going on there.
Still craziness.
But we'll kind of let you know in what's going to happen with that and what's going on. Leesburg is coming up here. We're going to be leaving not next Tuesday, but a week from Tuesday. We'll be flying into Orlando again. We'll be there for about a month and a half for Leesburg, Panama City, Thunder Beach, and then up to Myrtle Beach for their 10-day rally and hanging out up there. And then we'll fly back to Kansas, visit our daughter, and then we'll go back home and then head right to Sturgis about a week before we leave to Sturgis. So this year, the plan is we should be there by June 10th.
That's when we were there last year.
Yep, and same time we'll be there 7 weeks before the rally, and then the 8th week will be full of the rally, and then probably leave that Monday or Tuesday, probably head out. So just kind of give an idea. If you're there early, let us know. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. We've if you're thinking about having your bike hauled in, Haul Bikes, we've been talking to them. They're looking at maybe having a truck come in pre-rally. We've also, if you're in the Florida area, like Karen, and some of you, maybe you might like, maybe I want to fly in and we want to have our bike already there. We just don't have that much time to do something. Well, you can go down to Heavy Ed's down there at Midwest Motorcycles down there on Beach down in Daytona, and he's going to haul bikes, which he's done it every year for the last 28 years, but he never really advertised that much. We're going to get with him. We don't have any prices yet. He was sick last week. He was supposed to give us prices. We'll have a video coming out next week telling you what his prices are. And he's looking at doing a pre-rally haul too. So all you have to do is get the bike to him. He'll put it in his garage until it's ready to load it up and take it on the trailer and take it up there. And it stays in the trailer or in the shop there, right on Junction. So it's right there on the main drag. It's right across from the old Pappy Hoyle Indian dealer used to be at. There, he's right across the street from them, and then you can pick your bike up there. So he's a little bit less expensive than Haul Bikes, but Haul Bikes will go to anywhere other than in like downtown DC or something like that, or downtown LA. But pretty much other than that, they go to anywhere and pick your bike up.
If you want Heavy to pick up your bike, you have to take it to him in Daytona, and he'll haul it to Sturgis for you.
And then he'll bring it back there. And so there's no charge for you to keep it in the garage. Like, let's say, hey, I want to go to Sturgis, but I have to bring my bike the first week out over the 4th of July weekend. I can drop it off. He told me no problem, that there's no extra charge for that. And then he'll have your bike up there. And so we'll have the exact dates. Monday, we're supposed to meet with him or talk to him. We're not going to Florida to meet with him. Talk to him and see what's going on there. So if you guys are interested in that, we'll be giving a video out soon on that. We'll have a little bit more information about Haul Bikes. Haul Bikes basically needs about 30 days to get your bike there. What they do is they hopscotch it around to their warehouses. So it's like my bike. My bike left from Las Vegas, and it went from Las Vegas up to Milwaukee, from Milwaukee over to Pennsylvania, from Pennsylvania, then it came down to Ocala. So what they do is they have local drivers that take it to the next warehouse, and then the next warehouse. So that's how it kind of gets bounced around. So
I'm praying that they're going to have a big blowout at Rushmore, Mount Rushmore. They had it a few years ago when President Trump was president, back in the day beforehand, and they haven't had it the last few years because of
the Indians complained. And so
hopefully they'll have it.
Well, that and it was really dry a couple years ago, and that's one of the other reasons. They were supposed to do it like last year, and because it was so dry, they were all worried it was going to cause fires, so they ended up not having it. So this year we're hoping, because they've had a lot of snow, they've gotten some rain up there, so hopefully everything will be pretty green up there. And if you come later, that's the bad thing, because like when we went last year, when we went through the Badlands, you could not believe how green things were. And even with the rocks being different colors and stuff, the camera didn't even pick up, couldn't even done it. But the week of rally, everything pretty much had died because they hadn't had any rain in a couple weeks. So
but even the rocks were like the color, I don't know.
It just bursted. It was an experience that I'd never, out of all times we've been to Sturgis, usually by the time August comes, it's dry, everything's died. It looks kind of like what we have out in the desert. Not like we got here, where you look like we're in a jungle here. And
well, even coming in, all the hills in California, because they've had so much rain this spring, the hills get really green because normally they're brown, and it's just really, it was beautiful coming in, other than the smog. But
smog was a little worse today than it has usually been.
Yeah.
Usually it's not till we come down the pass there on the 15 from.
You see the smog
from what's the town? That's
Victorville.
Victorville. No, it's not Victorville. I guess Victorville's at the top of the hill. What's the one town on the next side of it? Barstow. And as soon as you come down the hill, we usually see it as we come down the hill. Here we've seen it already in Victorville. It was already starting to
When we were heading into Victorville, I'm like,
they call it marine layer out here, but it's fog.
It's
or
smog.
It's whatever it is. But a lot of times because it starts heating up, like we have it at home now. We don't have that much traffic in Arizona where we live, but you see it because of the haze, because of the heat holds it down between the mountains and
two
stuff.
mountain ranges.
Where when we were out in Phoenix, it was really clear. You could go out at night and we could see all the stars, the Big Dipper, and all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. So
Dusty Country Garage wants to know if Buffalo Chip did anything.
Buffalo
Chip do anything?
I don't think they've done anything exciting this year. Any updates that we've heard of. Bad thing with Sturgis is they've just had so much snow and cold weather and stuff that it's hard to get crews out to do something. The connection we have is we usually always talk to Woody or Rod, the owner of the Buffalo Chip, and he's had some surgeries and had some other issues. He had a bad back and some other issues so he hasn't been really in. And Damon, his son, and Tony, his daughter, have been kind of running the show this year. That's why you kind of see the bands and stuff that are set up there. It's kind of their picks that they had. I think he might have picked the first country band, but I think the rest of the people there. Talking about bands, so we're gonna talk a little bit tonight about Daytona Bike Week, how we thought about that, also what we thought about Arizona Bike Week. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that too tonight. Because I don't know if we're going to end up having time to get all that done before we get to Leesburg. And I don't want to drag it out too long because I will end up doing Leesburg, Panama City, and Myrtle Beach. That'll probably be one video that we'll talk about how all those 3 rallies turned out. But so hang around tonight. You'll get to hear some of that stuff about that. But one of the things I wanted to say about one of the concerts they had was Marilyn Manson.
Not our cup of tea.
But from some of our subscribers, and I've seen some pictures, and some of the people that were there said it was the best concert they have ever been to. Hopefully it's been more than that one. And one of the guys that I know that was putting it on Facebook, and I'm friends with him, he goes to a lot of stuff. So I'm looking more, if you've got to be probably in that 40-ish, late 30s, early 40-ish great age to probably be a Marilyn Manson fan. I was never, it's a little too head banging for me I don't know. I never heard a couple of his songs, never cared for it. Same thing with that Five Finger Death Punch. That's not my thing. And a lot of those bands just aren't our thing. We grew up in the 70s and the 80s and stuff too, but we never really we never got into headbanging music. So, but if anybody, because the reason I brought that up, because he's one of the headliners that are going to be at the Buffalo Chip this year. Because I thought, geez, how could they have that person be in there? I always want to call him a woman, but Marilyn Manson Marilyn's a guy's name. In this case, it's like Alice Cooper. I was kind of hoping they'd bring Alice Cooper in. Our first concert I ever took her to was to Alice Cooper back in 1976, 77, somewhere in that range. I guess it was 77. And seen Alice Cooper. And I wouldn't mind seeing that again. And hopefully he can still sing good. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot of concerts. Well, so we don't do the concerts to start with. The only reason we did them a couple years ago because we were at the Buffalo Chip. We had the golf cart, so you get a place to sit. She can't stand that long. And I always keep saying the same thing. To me, it's not worth $120 if you were going to buy a ticket that night to have to stand and watch 2 concerts. To me, that's not enjoyable. Enjoyable to me is paying $120 to $200 for some really close front seats to see the same bands in a nice auditorium with nice soft seats with flushable toilets and place you can actually wash your hands with, and maybe you can get some better food. Some of the places aren't better food, but at least you're always in. Plus, if it rains or if it lightnings or if the dust is wind, plus I don't have to listen to people rapping out their motorcycles and stuff. I'm not interested in that.
But that's the experience of the Buffalo Chip.
Yes.
Charles Mosier said, at least he's playing the same night as Jackyl. I'll be going out there that night.
But see, with me, with Jackyl, we've seen him probably 3 times or 4 times. The first time we seen him, we actually seen him in a very small venue, and this is probably 25 years ago, in San Diego. When he first started out, he played in this bar, and I had gotten it on. I think I'd signed up for this bar. And they sent me a thing saying, hey, Jackyl's going to be there. And I'm like, hey, that's the one we seen on that TV show. And the tickets were like $25. And it's like, let's go down there. We got nothing to do. We got a motel room, stayed all night. It was great. This room probably didn't even have 100 people in it. And it wasn't loud. He didn't scream. It was really good. I got a little bit of video from my phone and stuff, not anything a whole lot, like him cutting the stool up and stuff. I was right there. I was right at the edge of the stage when he was doing it. But I mean, it wasn't. And see, the last time we seen him, it was in Panama City, I think it was the last time we seen it. And he just screamed so loud. And they kept telling him he kept telling him to turn me out. And he was just, I think he was just so drunk he couldn't hear. But he ends up, there's a lot of songs he does that he's got his 4 or 5 songs he plays all the time. But some of the new songs that he's had over the years, I like that one song, the last song he came out with. What was that called? Rally something. I really like that song, but he never plays that at concerts anymore. He did it the one year that he came out with that album and never did it again. Because to me, it made me think about rallies.
So Jimmy says he's 62 and he saw Manson and he was in the front row.
There you go.
So I'm sure you enjoyed it then. And
so you should come to Sturgis and sit in the front row, stand in the front row, and you can see it again. Or pay for VIP and get right up there, and you could almost grab him off the stage. So everybody's got different taste of music. That's just not our cup of tea. But
Sherry said her husband passed away on Christmas and he misses them. They were together 42 years. She
That's
said
tough.
She's in Arizona and it's already too hot. And see, I like it. I was just starting to get comfortable for me. I like it hot.
She starts taking her clothes off as it gets hotter. Instead of being all bundled up and got stuff up to her neck. She wears cooler clothes.
I guess. But it's still, I got to take a jacket because if you go in to eat anywhere, it's freezing in there. I think they think if it's 90 or 100 outside, they have to have it 52 in the restaurant.
Well, so you don't know. Typically, our humidity is down to 3 or 4%.
So my heart goes out to you, Sharon.
So you don't really feel the heat because that's why when people always say that, sometimes we get to 115, 120 degrees, and they're like, how do you do anything? Actually, in Florida, when it's 83 degrees with the humidity and the dew point really high, it is hotter there than it is in Arizona at 115 degrees.
So Gene Kelly's on.
There you go. So we didn't get time to do that either. We have our winner for our trip.
You don't have your little thing. Yay!
Yeah, I didn't bring my box. A wooden table.
Our spring fling giveaway winner
is Gene Kelly.
There you go, right there.
Him and his wife is going to be heading out to Arkansas. We'll talk a little bit about that. They're going to get a $500 gas card. They're going to get to have dinner with Jeff and what's her name?
Angela. At the Cat House.
Yep. And so that'd be fun on Saturday night. So we'll get all the information that's going on. We had a drawing at home. We pulled the name, and we were going to do it online and everything. But with those 2 things coming out about Harley-Davidson, I just ran out of time, and I wanted to get somebody out right away. So we pulled his name, and we called him and said, "Are you sure you're going to be able to go?" And all that. And he's like, "Yep. We're retired. We're ready. We'll go now if we have to." So he was all excited, and so it'd be really fun. And now we won't be there this year because
not for spring fling.
We'll be there for Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue.
Hopefully next year.
Yeah, next year, hopefully they'll move it back where it was before, and it'll be before Leesburg. So we'll have it Leesburg, from there to Leesburg.
And Kelly says, winner, chicken dinner.
There you go. And
he was very happy when I called him. So we're glad that, because a lot of times people will put that in, and then they win, and they're like, oh, man, no, something came up, and I can't go.
We had one of our subscribers on here, XN Biker.
Oh.
He was wanting to win. Well, after he sent it in, the next week he wrote back and said, I got to cancel it. I think it's his daughter's graduating from high school or grandkids graduating from high school. Something's happening. And he says, pull my name. Please pull my name. So I just deleted his email because that's why I kept everybody in the emails. And then we wrote everybody's name down. We put it in the fishbowl. We were going to do it online like Adam AmsOil did where you get the wheel spin.
Spin the wheel.
But we wanted to do it on Monday. And we wanted to talk. Jeff, that's at the Cat House, he's the one that's putting a lot of this stuff on. We wanted to get one last final thing with him. Dog's going to bark because the mailman's here.
Yeah.
Not our dog, daughter's dog. And see, there he is, barking. I could be like Monkey. That neighbor's dog's out there barking again. Can you hear it?
Karen says she'll see us in Leesburg. All right, Karen.
Yeah. And so Leesburg, so spring fling will be really cool this year. So we that was a delay and ended up being Jeff. First day we called him. At the Cat House, they had a sewer pipe break. And so he says, I can't talk right now. I'll call you guys later. Well, he never did call. So the next day we called him. No answer. Called, no answer. Next day I called. Finally, Angela answered the phone. And I said, where's Jeff? And she says, he's in bed, sick. And I'm like, well, we need to talk to him because we want to finalize the giveaway. And he says, he's sound asleep. I said, well, have him call me in the morning. And well, he didn't call. In the afternoon, we called, and he talked to me a few minutes, and I said, hey, here's what we got. Here's the person that won. Here's what we got going on. He's like, that sounds good. Let it go. And we're like, okay. We just wanted to double check, make sure there was nothing, no funny business going
on. Jimmy that was in the front row at Marilyn Manson said his performance was, I don't know what that word is, SOD, sodomite level. Is it like dynamite level? I don't know. The guitarist stopped spitting on us. And that being said, the album Resurrection of the Mechanical Antichrist is an awesome album. There you go.
And so, yeah, it's so probably a lot like us when we seen Alice Cooper. But I mean, that was somebody that we grew up with when we were, when we were there back in our time. And always thought he was really a crazy guy too. And then you ended up when you like out here in California, he actually is at a lot of the golf tournaments. He lives here in Southern California somewhere. But anytime there's golf tournaments, he comes out, but he doesn't have all his makeup on and stuff. You wouldn't even know it's him. He just looks he looks like everybody else. He's just an ordinary looking guy.
Kiss when they come out in regular.
Yeah, well, you never seen him for years. You never seen Kiss without their makeup on.
Well, I think your sister saw him.
Back in the 70s.
Back before they started wearing
before
makeup.
They called themselves Kiss.
So Charlie from New Hampshire says, dog, garbage man, lawnmowers, what he talks about.
So he's got something going on. And he just got a noisy neighborhood. He needs to get him a studio like we got to where he can talk and do his videos. Close his garage door. That probably helped too when he's so noisy.
And he wouldn't have that natural light coming out.
Yeah, that too. I guess so. But so let's see. I had a whole list of things I wanted to talk about.
We'll have any pen and paper.
Yeah. And so we'll start off with Arizona Bike Week and Daytona. So we'll start with Daytona because that was first this year. So we went to Daytona this year. It started out, the first weekend was crazy. Just got off with a phone with a couple people from Harley-Davidson, and they said the same thing. They could not believe it's the busiest they've seen in years on that first weekend. And I said, there was probably, I was counting the bikes. I didn't get the exact number, but I was over 300 already in an hour that were just pulling in. It was dirt bikes. It was street bikes. It was three-wheelers. It was all kinds of stuff coming in. No cars. Cars got to go down the side. So I didn't count any of them. But then when we rode through, there was tons of people. A lot of strollers, people pushing strollers and stuff, and the dogs and all kinds of stuff. Not dogs running loose. They were on leash. And so I was like, wow, this is the biggest we have seen in the 5 years we've been doing this.
And there's been the most vendors down there at the Speedway this year, too.
And a lot of vendors. We didn't even get around to all the vendors because it was just so busy. So I was like, wow, this is going to be, which I think I said on a couple of the videos, this is going to be the biggest ever. Well, here come Tuesday. Everybody left.
Well, because it was supposed to rain all day Wednesday.
Which it did. But not all day. It rained a couple hours. This is when we were at the eating lunch with the race team, talking about the new CVO RR. We'll talk about that in a minute. Remind me about that. You need to go find you some paper to write something down on. You got your little notepad, don't you?
I know. I'm getting it.
And but I don't know if it's because of that. It was cooler. It wasn't as warm as what a lot of people were thinking it would be. Florida could be in the 80s by then, should be, and it wasn't. So it was a cooler week that it was, and then it kind of cooled down, and then we got rain again on Saturday. But from Wednesday on, it was just an awful crowd. There just really wasn't anybody there. It wasn't packed or anything else, which is kind of sad. And we had a good turnout at Chopper Time, the Chopper Show on Thursday. We had a good, it was a good crowd. It was probably, I think it was the busiest in the 5 years we've been covering the Chopper Time Show. We've been covering it longer than anybody else has because Willie told us that. He says, you guys are my original guys that used to come in here. It's got to be coming in. They film a few seconds, but not film like we did. We kind of show you everything that's kind of going on, the bikes, talk to people and all the interviews. Willie loves us. We love Willie too. And, but.
Yeah, he posted a thing on a couple weeks ago and said, I'm quitting, I'm retiring, I'm selling everything.
I'm my motorcycle.
It was on April 1st.
And,
did you really order the CVO RR?
No.
That's Mike.
Whoop,
whoop. Hey, Rod. Rod King.
So he's got my bike charged up. That's where my bike's at. He's very proud to have Bob and Tam's motorcycle is in his garage.
Yeah, and we appreciate it very much. Yes.
At least it's somebody I know. I could have had other places. There's other people. I could have had it in Daytona. I could have left it a couple places and things like that. But being that we're flying into Orlando, he's actually going to pick us up. We're going to be on the motorcycle the whole time we're there. So let's get back to Daytona. So here's some numbers to give you. One of the numbers that I see, because first they were trying to say there's going to be 400,000 or 500,000 people. That's what they were predicting the first weekend. That's what the week. And there's no way there's going to be that many people. So I think the city kind of came out and said they estimated about 130,000 people is what they were figuring was there. At the racetrack, they paid somebody to ping people's phones. Now, they said they never did any double pings. I don't buy this either, but once again, they're saying there was about 178,000 people that went through the raceway during the 10-day event. But we've seen a lot of people with strollers. We've seen a lot of car traffic. So
they pinged me 4 times because I have 4 phones.
But yeah, so when you look at all this stuff, could there have been 178,000 people come through there? Yes, because there's even people that are taking the tour of the museum. They got a little museum there that you can go through. So there's people coming in there. They've got the racing and stuff that's going on in the back, at the flat track racing and stuff going on. So yes, there could have been that many. But how many actual motorcycles did we have? No. I'm back to the same thing. We probably had 20, 30,000 motorcycles if there was that many that actually came through Daytona this year. People argue with me all the time, but I think we look at things. Here's one of the things the other day, one of the places we were at, we had some internet TV, and I found a video from a TV show that was on.
Sturgis Raw.
Yeah, back in 2013, they had a handful of issues. It was called Sturgis Raw in 2013. 2012 or 2013, I don't know what year it was. It was put out in 2013, so I don't know if it was filmed in 2012. Well, we watched that, and I'm like,
it was kind of like an episode of Cops is kind of what it was like.
And it wasn't a lot of stuff. It wasn't like Full Throttle where it was only a Full Throttle. This was more down on Main Street and kind of went around. And some of you might remember it. It's actually on Apple TV because I was looking to see. I don't know how we ended up watching. We watched like 2 or 3 shows in a row. They were on one night. And but what the shocker was, it was showing like Main Street, some of the stores and stuff. And we were there during that. We were actually there that year. And I'm like, do you remember that? And she's like, how about that one? How about that one? We now know how it feels when you go to a motorcycle rally versus what we do. We're different probably. I'm probably saying there is nobody that does what we do, because what we do is we now stand back and we're looking at everything from a big picture window and looking in and seeing what's going on. We're observing. I could probably rattle off all the businesses that are on Main Street in Sturgis because we see that. We see things that you don't see because you're there to have fun and enjoy yourself. You're not necessarily there to document what's going on. So now, which that just gave me a whole different understanding, I've always said that we're looking at things different than what everybody else looks at, because we're even like AmsOil Adam, he can't see what we're seeing because he's at his booth and he's working. He can see things that I can't see because he sees it from a vendor's view. Where we see it as a documentary of what's going on at the event. So that's kind of what makes us different from anybody else that's out there, because nobody does what we do. They all there's a bunch of people this year, they've been doing it the last couple of years, trying to imitate what we do, trying to go out and show different things like that. And that's great, because we don't hit every place.
That's it. The locals don't want us there in Daytona.
Yeah.
They did call that meeting.
Yeah. So we'll back up a little bit to that. So right before the rally started, I think it was maybe it was after the rally. Was it March? January? They had a meeting and they want to take, and when I talked to, was I talking to Awesome Documentary or what's the other guys? Kelly's? Prime Cut Pro. If I was talking to them, somebody I was talking to said that maybe, no, it was Marie and Eli. Eli told me that years ago at the convention center right there on the A1A, they used to have vendors inside. Well, they're wanting to bring vendors on the outside. I don't know if inside. So the city's trying to bring more vendors back. But a lot of people are complaining. A lot of the vendors are complaining because they think they're going to bring in a lot of people like more tattoo places, more people that we don't need. We don't need any more people selling T-shirts. We don't need any more people doing tattoos. There's enough of that freaking people going around already. You don't need to add 10 more doing the same crap. It's okay if you brought somebody new in that's selling something different or an accessory to what there is or something. There's so much other stuff that could be come in. But so the city now, after they've chased everybody off a beach, they all now want to bring more back because I think Daytona has finally started to figure this out. There's a lot of money when it comes to motorcycle people. Now, maybe a little too late for this to happen. We got a bunch of numbers for the police for writing tickets and stuff like that, and we're going to bring that out. But we already determined that this year that's the problem with like Cycle Drag. Some of you might be watch his channel. He was at Cave Creek last week. He was there the first half of the first weekend, opening weekend. He was there, and he was trying to compare it to Daytona. It is nothing. There is no comparison between that and Daytona. You can't, if you watch my video, I talked about that. But in Daytona, a lot of people say they write so many tickets and they do all this stuff. Actually, if you figured 30,000 bikes, and if you look at the number of tickets that were written, it really isn't that bad of a number. You're only looking at 1 or 2% of the people are actually getting tickets. Now, there is ones that are having, they're getting pulled over because they got a ticket because they got in a fight or they had a wreck. It was their fault. And so there's other reasons to get tickets versus just a DUI. Now, they do give a lot of tickets on Main Street for revving your bike up, for smoking your tire. Actually, I had an article that actually said the police came back and said that one of the reasons they do it for revving your bike is if you accidentally popped the clutch when you had your throttle opened up and you hit into the crowd or you rammed into a bunch of bikes, that could be devastating, which it could be. I say the same thing. There is no reason why you should be on Main Street wrapping your bike out. Now, revving it up a little bit, I can see that, But why? No, you're stupid. You don't need to show off. Now, I can see if you're going through a tunnel, you're going through a bridge, people do that to get that tone inside the echo. And I've done it too. I've done it on the highway before. When we split lanes, we've done it where we rev it up to let the car that's coming over in our lane, we're splitting lanes, we rev it up. Yeah, let them know we're here. So sometimes you do have that. But on Main Street, there is no, first of all, if you're that guy that revs your bike up, we're laughing at you. We're thinking you're stupid for doing that. Everybody on Main Street says the same thing. When I ask them, what do you think about that guy that revved up? They just shake their head. And I should put that on tape. Maybe we'll do that next year. And we'll spend a day down there. Tam can film the bikes revving, and I'll catch somebody and ask you what you thought about it. And people could care less. They're not interested in you revving your bike up or anything like that. And two, the cops warn you, and we've been there. I've got that on film too. We don't necessarily put that out all the time, but I've seen the guy with a trike 2 years ago had an American flag and a POW on the back of his trike. Every time he stopped, cop walked up to him and said, "Stop it. Don't do it again." Okay. Turns around, makes a U-turn, comes right back down the street. They walked up to him again. "Stop it. Next time, we're going to give you a ticket." And down the street he goes. Here he comes back. Pull it over. Now, everybody jumps on. There's some videos that people filmed that. We had it on film, too, but I didn't put it out because the guy was stupid. He got exactly what he deserved.
He was told 3 times.
He's told twice. Third time, you got the ticket. So if you're that stupid, you probably shouldn't be riding a motorcycle because if you can't understand that somebody told you don't do that anymore and you still want to keep doing it, you've got some kind of mental issue. You probably shouldn't be riding a motorcycle. Maybe you shouldn't drive a car either. But I mean, how many times they have to, like we just had 2 years ago, they caught a guy, 60-year-old guy, pulling a wheelie on a bagger down the one. So they pulled the guy over. Well, it's a $1,200 fine the first time, and that's it. So later in the week, the same officer heard the guy got pulled over again. Well, now it's an $1,800 fine. So the last day of the rally, down on the A1A coming out of Ormond Beach, coming out from the loop, like the same cop now that wrote the first ticket sees this bike coming at him on a wheelie down the A1A. And first thing in his head, he's like, that can't be the same guy. This time, he got a $2,800 fine. He went to jail, and they impounded his bike. So how stupid do you need to be to do that? You could find some back street probably to do some stuff. There's the sad thing about it is, like in Daytona now, there really isn't a whole lot of places to do burnouts and stuff like that. There is some stuff that's over at the flea market. They're right on the corner, Tamaka Road and the Speedway, that they have stunts and stuff. And if you want to do some stunts, you could probably get your Harley in there or whatever bike you're riding and get with those guys, and they probably let you do it. And they just do it. And you're showing off, and there you got audience, people are clapping because they're there to see that kind of stuff. People
they even had that at Arizona Bike Week where they had the flat track races. They had amateurs where you could come in and they would have different stunts, the slow races and the obstacle course. They were throwing big beach balls out and all this stuff. And so, I mean, it was kind of fun. And then if you wanted to do something like that, you could go in there and do that, and you weren't going to hurt anybody.
Yeah. And so there is places to do stuff, but I see the Daytona, I would say that right off the bat, is a show-off rally. I don't know if it's people that are from the north that don't get to get their bikes out and they're like, I want to show up, or if it's people that live there that say, hey, we got a big crowd here, there are a bunch of bikers, let me show you what I can do. Well, I can pretty much wrap my bike out to sound just like your bike. I can do a burnout just like you. Now, I'm not going to pull a wheelie. I never pulled a wheelie on a street bike. I pulled a wheelie on a dirt bike, but not on a street bike. I'd be afraid of killing myself or damaging my bike. But that's the exception to the rule. But my whole answer is, and people go after the cops all the time in Daytona, is I could see if they didn't warn you. If they just walked up and said, oh, sorry, you get a ticket because you revved your bike up.
So somebody said they don't like it either for revving up your bikes, but it's no cause for a ticket. It just generates more revenue for the police. But they do give you warning. So they're warning you. They warned this guy twice, and the third time
See, my idea is that Daytona will not do it, is I want to make Main Street in Daytona one way from the bridge to the A1A. Okay? So the idea is you can't make that quick loop. No way you could get off that street without driving through. So you would have to go all the way around to go back down the street. I think that would stop a lot of it. Because I think what happens with a lot of these guys, I don't see that many girls doing this. I see more guys revving their bikes up. I think they're thinking all these guys are looking at me. Hey, they're looking at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. And like I say, we're all looking at you thinking, this guy is a stupid freaking retard. What is he doing out here? What is he revving his bike up for? You're hurting our ears. We don't need to. We're already lost most of our hearing anyway because we're all getting older. We don't need you affecting my eardrum. But it's
not a fan of the burnout boxes because it smells too bad.
Well, but I mean, if you have a place where they're doing it, you don't have to be around it. If you know they're doing burnouts in this location, to where hey, they've got it's like at the Iron Horse. Well, which they don't do it there anymore. But when they did it at the Iron Horse, you knew. Or if you're over at Suck Bang Blow in Myrtle Beach, they've got their big one there. It's in the plexiglass, which that helps a lot because if you're around that side of it, the bar side, you don't really skid into the smoke. Smoke all goes towards the stage. So if you're not in that, if you're standing off to the side watching, you're not really in the smoke and it's not smelling so bad. So they kind of have a good way that they're doing it. So Daytona overall, I was pretty pleased with the Daytona, even though it got kind of slow. What messed us up is this year we flew in. So it was a total different thing. We did go ride with a couple of you guys on two different rides. One, they took us down.
Mike was one.
They took us down to the beach.
New Smyrna.
And I'd never been there. And that was cool. It was really a cool little beachy area. We sat down there at that bar, and it was really cool. I'm glad we went, but that took away from us doing other things. We also went and did the loop and rode out to St. Augustine's and stuff with another couples. And that took away from a day of riding. So that kind
of day of filming.
Yeah, day of doing other things. We never really made it back to Cackleberry or to Cabbage Patch other than that first Friday. So we never really got, because me and my good chiropractor was there and we missed her. By the time we found out about it, I know she probably left already on Saturday night probably. And so we never got to go back down there to see her even. And I would have liked to have gotten some of the action going on there. We just kind of missed a lot of stuff. Plus we did have our sponsors that we had to do events for them too. We had to film for them. So things were just a little unorganized for us this year, to where next year I'll have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do. Plus the rain kind of screwed us up too. So
we could fly in a little earlier, but I mean, that would just cost us more money.
Unless we get somebody to sponsor. We've been talking to Teddy Morris. They act like they want to do something with us. Maybe they want us in the hotel because they figure that if we are in the hotel, they're going to get more coverage of us, which they would. They get more coverage in the morning and at night because that's where we're going to end up and that's where we're going to start from every morning. That's what happened with the Buffalo chip. That's one of the reasons I like the Buffalo chip. We're probably going to do it next year, 2026, because it's going to be Woody's 45th. But I The problem when we stayed there 2 years ago was I could never get out of there because I was like, oh crap, look what they're doing over here. Oh crap, look what they're doing now over there. And it's just
never could get out of there.
You could go to the Buffalo Chip and never leave. They've got so much entertainment, so much bike shows and stuff going on, the Wall of Death and the jumps and the concerts and all the stuff. There's just
flags, everything.
Yes, there's way too much stuff. That's why I said everything at Sturgis could die and the Buffalo Chip could go on and people would still go just to go to the Buffalo Chip. Some of the other campgrounds, even the Full Throttle, is cool to go to, but I don't know if I'd want to spend my whole 10 days at Pappy Hoyle and the Full Throttle and never leave, other than doing some rides. I wouldn't be as much for me to do there. Well, they don't really have a lot going. They don't really have anything going on in the campground at all. The pool, they have a few things going over in the office part or whatever, the store, or whatever like that. But so overall, Daytona, I was pretty happy with it. Money wise, we didn't break even on it. The money we made just barely paid for our airline tickets, but with the sponsors that picked it up. We thank all of our sponsors. If you go to any of our sponsors or anybody, even if it's somebody you've seen on our channel before and you know about them, tell them that's why you're there. We have a couple other people that want to be sponsors, but they just never pulled the trigger. This year we're pretty good, but I don't know how many of the ones from this year is going to come for next year. A couple of them has already said they will, but we don't know. We have to wait and see how it goes. So Leesburg is our next one. So go now. Let's switch over to. Don't we have any more questions about Daytona? Switch over to Leesburg.
They just said that the loud music too gets them the rapping out the bikes and the loud music.
Yeah.
Same thing. Noisy.
Yeah.
Noise pollution.
But if you're there, you're there to socialize. You're talking to people, things like that. I always want to go up to those old guys that are playing the rap music and ask 2 questions. What's the name of that song? And who's that artist? I like that. And I'll bet you 90% of them are going to say, what? What music? Because they're not going to know. They're playing. We have the same thing down here on the river in Colorado River, that these guys come out with these cigar boats and they play all this old rapping music and all this. They're old guys trying to pick up 18, 19, 21-year-old girls. Because they're like, look at me, I got $1 million boat and I'm playing this funky music that you ought to like, but I don't know nothing about it. But and so we see it here. So I think a lot of that is, and the one that drives me the craziest is when we pull up the light and you're with 5 of your buddies and you all got your stereos all cranked up and you're all playing different crap. There's no way you can hear anything that's on there. And see what I do when I pull up to the light, I turn my radio music down. Because one, I want to see what's going on. I want to hear if there's an ambulance go by or a police car, because there's a lot of things going on. I want to be able to hear it. If that radio is turned up like that, you can't hear a siren. You can't hear that. You couldn't even hear if somebody honked their horn and they were running the red light and getting ready to slam into you. You're jamming away because it's so freaking loud. Your head's blowing away. You're going to kill yourself by playing a stereo so freaking loud. And you say, oh, that never happened. Yes, it will, because I see it all the time just with people in cars. That they got their stereos up so loud, pumping and stuff like that. They can't hear. Cops right behind them with the lights on, not pulling them over. And the cop's laying on his horn because we're behind the cop car. And then finally the guy looks back and he's panicking. Well, because his freaking music was so loud in his car, we heard him at the light. It was rattling his car. It was shaking so bad. There's no need to. If you're on the highway and you're enjoying your ride, yeah, you might need to turn your stereo up so you can hear it. But when you're riding
the veteran's bike with no radio, Charlie says he likes riding without the radio.
Not anymore. We did that for many, many years. I love my music.
My music is loud pipes, Janice says.
Yeah. I like music. I like to hear it. It takes the monotonous out. I used to get on the bike and I would just think about stuff. Now I worry more about, because there's so many cars on the road, I worry about getting killed. A car running over me, like a car running a stoplight. There's so many more. We just had 2 people got hurt really bad in our town, which we only have 10,000 people live there. 2 motorcycle wrecks last week. And so
not a lot of bikes out.
And people don't pay attention. People's on their phones and today we're coming in from Arizona. It's 250 miles here to see our daughter. And how many semis came into our lane?
A lot.
And there was nobody in front of them?
A dozen.
Yeah. 2-lane road on both sides, Highway 15. And the trucks are weaving on. They're on the chat, and then they're back in the center of the road. And she's like, "What are they doing?" I said, "They're probably on their phones instead of paying attention." And traffic wasn't that bad, but if one of them would have hit our little truck, little Ranger would have just took us out, and they would have probably not even know they hit us. I couldn't have got my lead out fast enough to chase them down. But So that's Daytona. So Arizona Bike Week. Now, this is the first time we've been to Arizona Bike Week since 2020. And the time before that was 2014. So we don't have a lot of experience with Arizona Bike Week. Art actually came with us, my buddy Art. And you don't remember even being there.
In 2014.
Yeah. And 2020, they actually postponed it to the end of the year. That's what happened after Sturgis. We were able to go up there. So it was all screwed up because of the pandemic. So it's been really different from what I'm used to. It's kind of divided up. They have Westworld, which is where all the vendors are at. That's where the big concerts are at. They had flat track racing inside the arena. They have a
Globe of Death.
They had an arena that's in a horse arena. So it's all closed in. It's a building. I don't know if it's air conditioned or not. It was cool enough. So they had that in there. We spent a little time. Friday and Saturday, they had that. The last of the weekend. So Arizona Bike Week starts on Thursday to Sunday. Now, Cave Creek actually starts the Saturday before and goes to the Sunday following. So it's a full week long. It's a full week rally there. They call Arizona Bike Week, but it's not a week. So we didn't know that. We didn't know that Cave Creek drug it on the extra 3 days. By the time we found out, it was too late to get any place to stay, so we didn't go. Cycle Drag. He was there. Now we never ran into him. Well, you did see him. You seen him that one night. He was.
I was at the Roadhouse.
Just a quick second. Never seen him again. Never a chance to talk to him or anything like that. And then I think he left because I didn't see any more videos out, and I never seen him the last couple weeks. The last weekend we were down there. So two different events. So Westworld they said they had 250 vendors. I don't know if there was that many. She said there was. I'm not doubting that there wasn't. It is a very big complex. It's bigger than Black Hills Harley. It's bigger than Destination Daytona. So it's definitely could have that many because they're up to close to 200 at both of those two, I think. Daytona.
Close, like 160 at least.
So lots of vendors. But they do have stuff that's not related to us. There's somebody selling siding. There's somebody selling windows. There was somebody selling crap that you have no intentions, but local people might buy it. They do that because that's the way they can fill the place up and they can get more money for doing this. That's fine. They had a stunt show, which was really good and enjoyable. They had the blow-ups. They did a bunch of cool stunts. There was two guys that were twins that had been riding motorcycles since they were 2 years old.
And they did V-twins, stuff on the V-twins. They even had a motorcycle that had like a tire around it. And so when he'd stop, you know how you do a stoppie, and he did like a
roll.
Yeah.
So I've seen that at other events. I've seen that at other other rallies too.
And they had the unicycles.
Yeah, so they had the little electric unicycles, but you didn't put a lot of that on there, which I'll go back and find because they wiped out a couple times. These things would go 65 miles an hour. So you could go in this area. They would let you try one out because they really weren't that bad. They started at like $400 or $500, and I think the top one was only $3,500. I was like, wow, that's really cheap for what they were giving you. They're electric, but I mean, the more you could lean forward, the faster the bike would go. So a couple times they did one. I got it on video, and she got the other one, and the guy did a hell of a tumble. And I was going to put it on, and when I did the stunt, I forgot all about the single wheel doing. So we're trying to get the videos out so fast to keep them up the same day. So that was really cool. Now they had the Globe of Death, and they did a really good job. It was a really nice show, but I mean, if you've seen the Globe of Death, they're all the same. They all do the same thing. And one guy gets in, then they get two bikes going in, and then they put somebody in there and they go around them, and that's kind of what it is. So that's about all there is. They had a bunch of bike shows. We only got to see one, which was the Rad Holes was there. Theirs was different because what they did with the bikes, they didn't really have a designated area to set them up. They set them all up between the vendors. So you got to kind of look around, and that was different. One, we did get to talk to one guy, the guy we knew from Las Vegas. He was there, and he had the Western looking bike. Other than that, there was nobody else around the bikes, which is kind of one of the things we like when we do a bike show. We like to have that because we think you would like to know that. I like to know that. I like to know what made the guy build the bike. How did he do it? Did he do it himself? Did he pay somebody to do it? If he
Some
did,
people bought it like that.
Yeah.
I've talked to a few, and they're like, I bought it like that.
Had one guy won the bike, and he was showing it. And it was like a Jack Daniels bike or something. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. How long did it take you to build it? He said, I won this on a prize. Oh, okay. Well, still cool. But at least you know the story. And so I like that. I like same thing when we do wheelies and stuff. I like to do that when we catch the guys because you never know what you might want to do. You might, like me, I'd like to do a bike build someday. I don't know. I'm getting older. I don't know if I'll make it. Once I tear into my chopper and tear it all apart, maybe I'll want to do more. But I mean, I don't want to get to be, nothing wrong with the monkey, professional monkey. He's done a few things and he's had a lot of trouble with them after the fact. Well, that's the bad thing about building, especially if you're building a custom bike. See, there's no specs to it. So you're hoping that everything you're putting together and everything that's working, that it all is going to work. Where when that bike was built by Harley-Davidson or Honda or whoever it was built by, engineers designed it. So they design it and show you, they measure everything and they get all the numbers and stuff. Well, when you're building a bike yourself, you're not an engineer. Now, there is some professional bike builders that are like engineers. They know all the right things to do. But when we're amateurs and we're playing around on the side trying to do things, it's not always right. It's like my chopper. I wanted to ride it first before I tear it apart. But now I think the starter locked up on me. So that's not going to happen now because you got to weigh 350 pounds of kickstart, a stupid thing. So I'm going to end up having to pull the cylinders off. And then if it ends up having transmission problems or anything like that, I'm done with it. I'm going to piece it out and do something else with it.
Well, Steve Rollins said the Buddy Stubbs Museum at the dealership is definitely worth it, and it's free.
That's right. We got video of it.
Yeah. I could never think of the name of that place.
I called him a little bit of everything. That was really cool, dude.
Stumpy.
Stumpy's Garage. What's that dealership called? Stumpy's? Buddy Stumpy's? Billy Stumpy? Somebody like that. Stumpy. I guess the original owner, I think he died.
No, he was still alive.
Oh, was he?
He even said a message he couldn't be there to accept the award, but he had recorded
I knew his son was there.
And put it up. Yeah,
I didn't see that part because I think we talked to his son and he was on the channel. But see, typical things. Every one of those dealerships, there's like 5 dealerships within that area. They're all owned by different people, which is really weird for a small area. But actually, I didn't know that the Phoenix area is the 4th largest city in the United States.
Yeah.
5th largest. That was shocking. I had
we
no
never
idea.
knew that. Like,
we live in Arizona.
Well, that's what they said. Well, this is the 5th largest city in the country.
And I'm like, Google that. There's no way this is the 5th largest city.
I think it's New York is the first, and then I think it's San Francisco, L.A.,
Chicago,
and then Phoenix. And we're like, holy cow, we never knew that.
I'm shocked. But it is a very big area.
It is.
Because Scottsdale, and there's all kinds of little towns around it, and they're all stuck together. And so yeah, we went over to Scottsdale's Harley-Davidson. That was really cool. They had a lot of people said they had better vendors than they've ever had before there. And they had some good vendors there. They had some big names. I think Saddleman or Mustang was there, and a couple of exhaust companies were there. They had smaller booths. They weren't like what you'd see in Sturgis or in Daytona. But it was kind of cool. We went there like the first weekend. We went down there. Because we ended up driving the truck. First 2 days, it was so freaking cold. It was in the 40s at night. I didn't bring any extra propane because I'm like, it's because the week before that was in the 90s. It was 90 degrees. So when we got ready to leave, I looked at the weather and it looked like it was going to be the high 70s, low 80s. So I told her, okay, it won't be too bad. I said, we probably ain't going to wear any shorts, but I said, we'd be good riding for jeans and stuff like that on the motorcycle. We might need a jacket. And then we get there, and the highs are like 57 degrees the first day, and it was 40s, low 40s at night. Which if you watch channel, we had propane problems, had a leak, had all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Her bike wouldn't start, all kinds of issues we had. We drove a truck for the first couple days. I'll tell you about the tires. That all got screwed up.
Oh, that was another whole day.
We'll get into that. Write that down. We'll talk about the tires. I'm going to be doing a video on it because we got tires, but they're not on. So
they said expect the bikes at Gator's Bike Fest. They have that church behind them. Yeah, but last year I don't think they let them park in that church, did they?
Nope.
And they said, like years before, you have a big group consider the church lot. Saturday will be busy if the weather holds. But yeah, I don't think last year they let them
wouldn't
park.
allow them to do the church. So what they did is they did the lot next door.
Yeah,
the doctors, doctors that was all open for parking. So
I think that cost though, and they had that dirt field that's right
behind it. Yeah. Well, before they used to make the employees park down there, and they kind of moved them around now to where it's more bikes in the front and cars in the back. So yeah, it was Gator was a little more messed up last year, which I don't know if the church will come back this year or not. I don't know.
I don't know what happened.
We didn't ask them, but some reason I don't know if they got a new.
They said they got a new pastor or something, and
decided I don't like them bikers.
Bad bikers.
So it's like you're making community service. So Arizona Bike Week. The Westworld never seemed to really get packed. Now we were only there
during the days.
We never went at night to see during a concert. They were so overly impressed with us, they want to comp us for next year and put our camper there and everything. If we go next year, that's where we'll be. Just have to see how the schedule all goes. It's only 220 miles from our house, so it wasn't too bad, just a few hours to get there. It was a pain in the ass getting home. That's another story. But Cave Creek, so they had all that. Was there anything else I forgot about that they had over there? They had a lot of cool bikes. They had a lot.
Oh, they had a bull riding at Westworld, and they had a bull riding at Cave Creek.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to Cave Creek. So not bad. Now they did charge. I think during the day, if you didn't buy tickets ahead of time, it was like $22, and if you bought it online the week before, it was only $15 to get in. Now, a lot of things were misunderstood because we didn't know. We didn't know, does it cost us extra to see the flat track racing? Is it going to be this and this and this? No. Actually, if you get in there before 3 o'clock, $22 will get you to watch the concert. You just had to stay. You couldn't leave out. Couldn't come and go.
Couldn't go and then come back in.
So if you bought the regular weekly long pass, you could come in and out however you wanted. So I think the reason they did that was the people that are only coming for the freaking concert that drove in cars, make them pay. I have no problem with that. So if you didn't mind, hey, I want to see Marilyn Manson, what's it hurt to get there at 2:30 and stay there whole afternoon there? Go look, check out the vendors, hang out, a lot of tables inside, a lot of shade. Friday and Saturday was really good weather, and Sunday was good weather. Friday we had about mid-70s, so it wasn't bad. Saturday we were almost at 80, and 90 we were at right around 82. So it was really great. Now we didn't get any time of doing any riding. Bad news is we rode over 250 miles and went nowhere. Everything is a ride to get to, and everything's 30 minutes. A lot of people are saying it's all highway driving. No, it's not. We were 6 miles from Cave Creek. We were
22 miles, I think,
from Scottsdale, Westworld, and all that. And all we ever rode on, we got on the highway for probably 2 exits. Other than that, you're riding in city traffic. It's 4 lanes, 2 lanes on both sides. Some had 3 lanes at times, hitting lights. Traffic is really bad there, and I've never seen so much freaking construction in all my life in one community. Everything's being tore up.
All the roads.
Doesn't matter, whatever they're working on. Construction zone everywhere. Even the exit that you had to go to Westworld was, a lot of times they wouldn't even take you that way. They took us the wrong way, and we got turned around. And I'm like, no, we should have went around the highway and went in, but it wanted us to go this way. And
wanted us to go the back way in.
And we didn't want to go the back way because we wanted to go through the front way so we could film driving the motors, because you could park in the front or you could park in the back of Westworld. So then from there, it's another 20 or 30 minutes to get over to Cave Creek. Cave Creek, the first day that we went, we took the truck the first day. That was the day your motorcycle messed up. So that was we got there on Tuesday. So that must have been Wednesday or Thursday. It must have been Thursday, right? Or Thursday we were going to
Thursday's when we had to move, yeah. So that's when we figured out the motorcycle would start.
So we decided, well, let's just take the truck and we'll go over to Cave Creek in the evening. It's about 4 or 5 o'clock, and we'll find some place to park the truck. Took us 45 minutes to get through the traffic to even see if there was a place to park. And pretty much there was no car parking, not that I seen. So we spent another 45 minutes getting out of there to get back to the trailer to check her back out, and I had to stop and get a voltmeter and a jumper in case it didn't start, and ended up working after that. So already it's the difference between Cave Creek and Daytona Main Street, our Sturgis Main Street, is there is nobody standing on the road watching the bikes go by. Nobody.
Everybody's in the bars, partying, drinking, listening.
Now, there is places you can sit at the bar, but it's a long distance. It's probably, if you want to say, if you've been to Daytona, so let's say I'm sitting at Cruising Cafe, sitting on their porch there where the girls are serving drinks, and I'm looking at the main street. You would have to say it's probably about a half a block away. That's how far. There's 2 rows of bikes, plus there's a big area to walk up and down and all this. So you're a good distance away from the actual main drag there, Cape Creek Boulevard.
Where the bikes are actually driving on.
And the traffic is so bad because they're actually stopping the traffic. There's a crosswalk there. So after about half a dozen vehicles go through, they stop it and let people walk across. However long it takes people to get across, that's how long it stops for. It takes 5 minutes, takes 5 minutes, it takes a minute, it's a minute. So that stops. And if you know anything about traffic, is if you stop here for 30 seconds and you go a mile down the road, that 30 seconds turns into 2 minutes. And it keeps doubling as it keeps going. I don't know the exact footage with mileage. I used to know that. I don't know it anymore. But there was a prediction that would tell you how that few seconds would interact with people hitting longer and longer and longer, and it gets longer and longer. Well, that's what happens in the street. So sometimes you're looking at the street, you'll say, well, there's 5 bikes drove by and there was nothing behind them. Well, because the car, if you look down the street on one of my videos, you can see there's a car down the street that's completely stopped. Why they're stopped and got traffic all hung up behind them, I don't know what they're doing. They're dropping somebody off. They're trying to figure out where to park. It's all motorcycles. It's a car. They're not going anywhere. And then once again, you got a lot of looky-loos that are driving up and down trying to see what's going on.
In cars.
So when you look down the road, and I look Sunday, there is not one black mark anywhere on Cave Creek where the businesses are at. So nobody's doing burnouts. Got it? So it's not the same as anywhere else.
Didn't hear anybody rev up there.
We heard a little bit every now and then. You'd hear somebody rev the bike a little bit, boom, boom, a little bit. But I mean, a couple of them were right by me. It didn't hurt my ears. It was like, okay, nice bike, okay. A couple of them were like pulling in the parking lot, and they kind of did a couple times, but nobody was wrapping them out like they do in Daytona. So it's not the same. It's not the same drag. You're not seeing, and the bikes are so close together. You really, and some bikes are actually starting to double park. So, now sometimes that happens when your buddy's there. You pack up and your buddy pulls in front of you, so you take up 2 spots. Well, I don't think this was what's happening. I think we've had that happen to us before. We park along a fence thinking it'd be easy to get out, and some assholes pull all the bikes in front of us, and they don't leave till later. And then when you move their bike, they're all pissed off. Well, you shouldn't have parked your effing bike in front of my bike. Well, it's the only place. No, it wasn't the only fucking place. There's bikes. Quarter mile down the road, you could have walked your ass down, and that's the way it goes. Bad news is, if I'd have had to open up the tour pack, it would have got nasty. I'm too old to fight anybody anymore, but I got things that will do just as good. So that was that. But it's not the same thing. But Cave Creek is fun. We've seen, which I haven't got an editor or anything like that. It was the best wet t-shirt contest I have ever seen in my life. And what'd you think about it? Did you think it was better than some of the other ones you've seen? You film a lot of them.
I know.
So from 1 to 10, where would you rank it compared to the ones? So let's say the one out at Dirty Harry's would be a 1, right? So what would you rank this one?
It was, well, they had a different variety of girls, and then it was very organized, so it was good for what t-shirt concert.
What would you rank it from 1 to 10?
I don't know.
10 to be the best.
An 8.
Okay. Oh, and stuff. So, but I mean, it was really good. And what was cool about it is, if you guys know Willie, that we've done a bunch of videos with him cutting up the t-shirts, he cut all the girls' t-shirts up. So they were all kind of the same. They were the halter type, and they pretty much, you could see before they ever started, you had a good view. And it was really good. I'm not gonna be able to put it on YouTube. We'll have to put it on Patreon. There was nobody that flashed a boob or nothing like that, so there's no nudity in it. But I mean, you could see it all. There's no hiding what was going on. And I even told the guy there on the bar, I said, this was really good. If you want a copy of it, you can call us, and I'd be happy to send you a free copy. You can do whatever you want with it. That way, you get good response to come back next year. And so that was actually at the Horny Toad. So it's not one of the big fancy bars, but it's a guy's been in business a couple years. He opened up the Horny Toad. So we kind of spent that whole evening there, because they drug it on, trying to get it started. And so they ended up waiting for the second, because at first they didn't have, and they gave away $550 to the winner. And it ended up being the 2 girls that won. They were down to they had judges, and they picked
the
top two. And so those 2 got up there, and they were going to do a run, and they did the applaud. Well, I said one did win. I could hear one was louder than the other, because I'm standing up by the stage filming. And so they ended up talking to the girls, and they decided they'd split the money. And there was a girl that was pouring the pitcher on. It was one of the girls that were from the shot thing next door. She was pouring the water on the girl. She was giving a good show. And she had a halter top on and little shorts and stuff. And so she was really working with the crowd too. And so they ended up giving her 50 of the dollars. What happened was they were going to give first they were going to give $300 away. Nobody signed up. And they offered $500, which is what they gave away the last night. And then somebody in the audience came up and said, I'll give you $50 more to sweeten the pot. So they gave the girls that was up there decided they would take it and split the $500, $250 each, and then they give the extra $50 to the girl who was pouring the water on. So everybody was happy. And so it was a really good crowd. Everybody was cheering, and everybody, you could pretty much see, it wasn't like everybody had their cameras up, and it was just a very good crowd. It was very enjoyable. I had walked over to, what's the other one? Bar.
Well, there was the Buffalo Chip.
Well,
there
right
was the Hideaway.
Hideaway. Hideaway, I'd went in there early afternoon, and you couldn't even get in the place. It was wall-to-wall people. There must have been thousands of people in the bar. And it was like, no. I walked in a little bit with the camera, and if you watch that video, you'll see it. It was insane. So we ended up going up to the Buffalo Chip. And never been there. We were looking for something to eat. We were actually with Mike and Patsy, and they did a live from there on our Facebook page. And it was a pretty good bar. What was nice about it more than anything else was very young crowd. It's a Western bar. They do rodeos there, line dancing they had going on, lots of cute girls, a lot of girls together. There was not that they were lesbians, but I mean, they came in groups of girls that party that night and stuff. So it was a really good crowd. They had a mechanical bull, and it was $5 to ride. They gave you 2 or 3 times you get to ride on it.
Some or a bunch.
And they did. It was a lot of fun. I filmed some of the girls. Some of them you've seen. A couple guys got on. They did really good. I didn't film the guys. But over in Westworld, they had Buffalo, and nobody ever rode it. The whole time we were there, we never seen anybody on that stupid Buffalo. They had it in the wrong place. They should have had it over where they had the concerts at, because they would have had more people that night riding it, waiting for the concerts or in between the 2 bands or whatever.
I guess they thought it might have gotten both crowds, but it didn't.
It did. And so that was kind of cool. The Buffalo Chip was kind of cool. They made a signing agreement that anything we put up that has them in it, we have to hashtag them. They had this big old legal contract. Dude, what are you going to sue me because I didn't put your name down? But I mean, if we put it in the title, we tagged you in it. So I don't know. That was just really weird because it took us a while for them to find somebody to bring the paper up with. Then after we signed it, there was nobody there. And I'm like, gave it back to the security guard. He said, "Are you going to film anything?" I'm like, "I don't know. Depends on what's going on in here. We came to eat." And that's it. And
did we film the food?
No. Mine sucked. I had that fish and I had that chicken strips, and it was ice cold.
I had the burnt ends. That was pretty good.
And Patsy and they had barbecue.
Patsy had ribs, and Mike had burnt ends too.
And so for my part, the food wasn't really that good there. The nicest thing, so that was kind of what we seen. We did have Larry from Bug Slide. It used to be with Bug Slide. We had dinner with him one evening. Oh, actually, the bike had messed up. We did ride the bike down there for that.
Well, we came back and got my bike. It finally started.
Yeah. And so we ended up going down there and having at a little Italian place. It was okay. Nothing to write home about, but it was all right. It was a little bit up the road from when you first come down in the Cave Creek. It's off to the right before you get to everything down there. Ate there, and it was okay.
Oregano's, that's what it was called.
And he paid for it, so that made him.
I wanted eggplant parmesan.
They didn't have it. And so that was pretty cool. I forgot what the other thing I was going to say about the rally. The difference is probably with Arizona is there's a lot of custom bikes, a lot of custom bike builders that are in the Arizona area. So you see a lot of custom bikes. Would I say that's more than Daytona? No. But probably a lot of the ones that are probably in Daytona area are more bikes that people bought, where a lot of the bikes that are in Arizona Bike Week are ones that people built themselves or they were built in the nearby area. So it's more local stuff. I don't know how many actual bike builders are actually in Daytona area anymore, other than like OC Choppers or something, but they're not in the Daytona area. They're clear across the bay on the
Tampa
Gulf
side.
Yeah. So not saying there isn't any. So Karen would write me and say, "There we have 10 bike builders here." Well, you could. I don't know about them.
So Karen says, please pray for our friend Neil.
Hmm.
I just wrote him. Are you okay? I don't know.
Neil on our channel, Neil?
Pray for Neil. What's happening? Sorry, Bob. I know. I don't know. I just texted
He's
him.
been posting stuff on Facebook, so I didn't think there was anything wrong with him. Because I wrote him. Let me see if he wrote me back. I wrote him earlier and told him, because he asked me earlier this week if he was going to be. Oh, here it is. Thanks, but at church tonight, Todd is going to die from brain cancer. His wife, 2 daughters, and 2 sons are devastated. the 12-year-old son got to go with him and mom to Seattle for his birthday and be told his dad is dying. That's not a very good birthday.
No.
So pray for
Neil's friends.
Friend Todd is dying, and he's got a whole family there. So
yeah.
So
Neil must be with them.
So that's what's going on. So that's why Neil's not here.
Hey, Andrew.
That's tough, especially like that. If somebody's dying, you gotta, sometimes it's tragic when somebody just dies right away, but when it's drug on, it's sometimes it's a little tougher. So yeah, tough times.
I'm trying to read my own handwriting. I can't read it. Well, it's because it's so tiny. It's a little bitty thing.
Turn it sideways around.
Big Whoop said that they had a lot of thing for fallen motorcyclists today. I guess he's out in Hawaii. And Mike Skidmore, if you're still on, yes, we did go to Laconia on the 99th. So, and Janice says, why can't we see some people's comments? I think if you're on Facebook, it doesn't show up on here because Facebook will not talk anymore to YouTube. Yeah. I don't know why. And somebody said that they like AmsOil Adam, but it's too expensive for him. But you have to realize you can go a lot longer. So it's like getting 2 oil changes for the price of 1, and he's cheaper than most of the dealerships and stuff like that.
But when you look at it, because you can actually go 10,000 miles on AmsOil, so you could actually get 2 oil changes because you should change your oil about 5,000 if you're putting a synthetic oil in. Now the difference is I'm not gonna. And if you watch Adam's channel, you already know a lot of this. His stuff's 100% synthetic, to where most oils that you look at, like Harley-Davidson's oil, is not 100% synthetic. Most oils are not. There is some that's out there, that blue stuff that James used to put in his car. That was 100% synthetic, but it's not made for motorcycles. And so we've got it right now in the veteran bike. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We talked about Cave Creek and that. If anybody wants any more questions about Daytona.
Oh, that's what you didn't talk about, the tires when we were in Arizona Bike Week.
So my buddy Art, which he might be on, he's not said nothing. We didn't get the tires.
Well, we got them, but.
Well, we didn't get them put on there. So here's what happens is, so we go over there in the truck on Wednesday, I guess. And we go to JP Cycles, the dealership. They have a store in there. And it's right. It's only like 4 miles from Westworld. So we decided to go to the store. So we go to the store and said, hey, we want to get some tires for our veteran bike, and see what we can do for a deal and stuff like that. Because JP Cycles has always given us pretty good prices. Well, bad news is if it's on sale, we're not going to get any better price. So he said, what is it? I said, it's a 98. It's a Fat Boy Street Stalker. So he looks it all up and he says, yep, we got them right here. Mounting, balance, everything is $709.10. And I'm like, okay, we'll take them. We'll go ahead and pay for them now, since Art already had was going to send the money anyway. We'll pay for it, and we'll bring the bike in tomorrow. And I said, I'm thinking about getting some tires put on her Sportster. So they're like, okay, that's so okay. She said, well, get here early in the morning and we can put them on your bike. And we're like, okay, that'll work. So, but I forgot on that morning, we needed to move to the next spot. We only had 2 nights in one spot and the rest of the time in another spot because we waited too long to book. So we're getting ready. So we're hoping that people are going to leave early in the morning. Well, they did. They left about 8 o'clock. So I said, well, you go up to the office and I'll start getting stuff ready to move the trailer. And she goes up there, and the guy, they have to rake the spot and do all this stuff. And it was like, I don't care. If there's any dirt.
I said, you don't really need to clean it or whatever. It's fine. And he says, no, I have to clean it. I'm like, okay.
So he kind of was more than that. I was getting ready to do a video on this ass. And so we get ready to, so we're getting stuff ready to go. And the
guy pulls up and says, you can move.
Yeah.
We couldn't move till.
By the time I was getting ready to mess our spot all up until rocks all over, I was going to make it really tough. You want it? Because we hadn't even stepped in any of the rocks where the picnic table and all that, because we're not there. They had it's a nice asphalt place. You pull your bike in. It's all real nice. It's level. Trailer was perfectly level. I didn't even have to put anything under it. And so we go to move the bikes first. I ride the bicycle. We ride our bicycles over there and we drop them off. We brought our bikes thinking we were going to ride them. We didn't ride them at all, except for there. And then I jump on the Fat Boy and I start it up and I pull it over there and back it up. I get ready to start her bike up and it won't start. So I'm like, you get on it, I'll push you, we'll try to pop the clutch. So the first time we wasn't going fast enough, didn't do it. Second time it got crazy and she dropped the bike. So then I just pushed it the rest of the way down and I put it in the spot. And so then we
because it started when we got there and he pulled it out of the trailer and parked it. So
then we moved the trailer over there, all that. We got it all set up. Now it's about 10:30 in the morning. So I'm like, I'll just jump your bike. We'll jump it. I'll follow you over there, and that should charge it up. 22-mile ride should charge the battery back up. So we get over there, and
now it's like 11. We were supposed to get there at 9.
So there's 2 bikes in front of us. One bike's getting shocks right now, and the next one's going to get tires put on, and then we're behind that. So we're like, okay, that's when we did that little video from that pizza place, cheeseburgers and beer.
Yeah, cheeseburger and beer.
Cold beer and cold hamburgers. Food was really good. It was very good.
Cold hamburgers.
Well, but somebody said that's what the sign said, cold beer and burgers. So it made them think the burgers were cold too. Yeah. I think Mike said that. So we went there and ate all that. We came back and the bikes were still sitting outside. So
when we were walking up, I'm like, because the guy's hands were all greasy and he had a rag in his hand. I said, "Is that the mechanic?" He's like, "Yeah, I think so," because he's standing out front. It's like, shouldn't he be in back? And
there's only one guy working on bikes. And
only for 2 days.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday.
No, he's there for the whole week.
He was gone Sunday. He was only there those 2 days.
We didn't come in on Friday. We came on. We moved the trailer. We got there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Maybe he's only there Thursday and Friday because he was only there 2 days.
I think he was there Saturday. I don't think he was there Sunday. And so we get in there, and so we get back, and they still haven't done nothing yet. So I'm like, okay, let me pull the bikes around the back. Because they don't normally have a mechanic at the JP Cycles there. It's not like the other dealership in Daytona. So they don't normally have anybody there. So this guy actually came from Daytona or someplace, and he'll be in Sturgis and everything, helping them do tires and stuff there. So he's one of the guys that they normally use. So I took my bike around, the fat boy, parked it. I jumped on her bike. I pulled it around and did that. And so we're out front just sitting, killing time, just doing nothing. And the
guy that waited on us
came up to us and said, "There's a problem with your bike." I'm like, "What's that?" He says, "Well, it's got aftermarket wheels on it. It's not the right size tires. Let me see if we got the right size tires for it." I'm like, "All right." So he's looking. I said, "Why don't you?" So the mechanic guy is standing there too. He's like, "Well, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't see those tires." I said, "Why don't you pull that one off and pull her Sportster on and go ahead and knock those out? Because we already had paid for those too now." And so he pulls that in, and after another 20 minutes or so, they come back and they're still looking for tires for the fat boy. Come in and said, "That's not the right tires for that. It's not a 1200 custom. It's a 1200 extra low." I'm like, "I've never heard of an extra low." Well, it only came out in 2014, 2015, or 2015, 2016. So it was different. They didn't have the tires for that one. So now it's like 1:30, 2 o'clock. And we wanted to be at Westworld by 3 o'clock. Because we wanted to spend the whole evening there because we hadn't spent, not Westworld, Cave Creek. We wanted to spend the whole day at Cave Creek because we hadn't done anything there yet. And so we're still there. They're trying to figure out, well, what we can do is we can order these tires to be shipped to your house and they'll be there right away. But we have to give you a credit and do this and do this and do this. Well, the credit card for the non-profit that I put the tires on was back at the trailer because we don't carry that card with us because it's only for the non-profit. Because Art gave us the money, so he did the donation through the website and put the money in there. And so we said, well, just use a credit card to pay for those tires. Money in, money out. Be easy to keep track of all that. So we had to come back, get credit. So then I ended up using my credit card and paid for the tires to be delivered to the house, the 2 sets of tires that would fit on her bike and my bike. And then he gave us credit back for everything and then charged for the tires again. Well, these tires are a little more expensive because then you can't get them in Dunlop. I think one's in Michelin, and I don't know what the other one brand is. But they don't make those because they're oddball tires. So there they sit. So sometime next week when we get home, probably Tuesday we'll go home. And either Wednesday or Thursday I found a bike shop in town, and they're going to mount them all up for us. So the tires will be on both bikes. So that'll be done. So that's a drama. So that kind of messed up.
Tire story.
So that I'm not blaming them. I should have looked at the tires and wrote the size down myself.
He always says that. He always takes a picture and then he's got the size on the tire and he takes it in and he shows them this is what I need, this is what it's for. That's the tires. But
they should have went out and looked too. When I used to sell tires, you'd look it up in the specs and see what it is, and you go out and double check the vehicle and see what it is. You know, did somebody change the wheels? Is it not the right size? Because not everybody, some places you go to a tire store, they don't put factory what on your car. They'll put whatever they got in stock, and they don't tell you, oh, this is a better tire. It's going to wear better, more traction. So that's a dilemma there. So overall, Arizona Bike Week was okay. We spent more time in Cave Creek than we've ever had before. There were still a couple one bar we never did make it to, the one that was up the hill a little farther.
It was like a Irish pub kind of place.
And we didn't get to make it into there and see what they had going on. But we did go to the other two. The other one, what's the other one?
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse is more the vendors are there. They had a big loop. We weren't really there ever when all the vendors were open. The difference with Cave Creek is by about 8 o'clock at night,
ghost town.
Yeah.
So everything's done. I mean, they don't even have any bands playing after that. I mean, there's just.
It was sad. The lady that runs Westworld told us that. They said, oh, yeah, it's not much of a nightlife. Well, I think a lot of local people are coming there. That's why it's so crowded. There's a lot of people in Arizona. It's like California. You can ride bikes year round. And so I think a lot of people get those bikes out for those weekends, a week, and ride to the bars. Well, a lot of them are like, well, I've been here all damn day. I'm going home at 7 or 8 o'clock. You'll get home before it gets too late.
Well, and it's kind of up in the mountains, kind of, sort of, and it's a ways from any other kind of life source. It's like
there's some houses.
Yeah, there's houses, and then there's like a Walmart. And
we had a coyote run in front of us, and there's somebody said they seen a deer.
People probably want to be home before it gets dark, like us. We don't see as good in the dark, and like you said, there's critters running around the roads and everything. So a lot of people probably, especially if they've been out all day drinking, and it was nice weather. So I think, and that was another thing, they wanted to get home before it got too darn cold and the sun went down. We was going to stay at Westworld one night. He wanted to stay. Was that there or was that in Daytona? I don't know. We were somewhere. I said, I'm going to be back before the sun goes down. That must have been Daytona.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not staying out. I'm freezing already. And then once the sun goes down, it's going to drop another 10 degrees.
So here's what we were told by somebody else. So I don't know how true this is. So what they told me was last year, 2024, they sold $30,000 worth of tickets to get in and for concerts and all that.
To Westworld.
This year, it was only $9,000. The vendors we talked to, other than one, which I think it's the first time he ever did rallies, the guy from Big Bear, everybody else was down in sales. A lot of them said they're not coming back. They're done. Unless they make them a very good offer to come back, they're not. It's too far. Most of these vendors are coming from Louisiana. They're coming from Mississippi,
East
Florida.
Coast.
And that's a long way. It's a lot of expense. You got to pay money for the booth. Got to pay for a place to stay. That's just a lot of money. And if you're not, some of the vendors said that they did all right. They broke even. But why go all that way to break even? You could have stayed home and broke even because it wouldn't have had no expenses. So plus you're putting wear and tear in your vehicle, dragging all the stuff, equipment, and just all the stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how that'll work out. We'll have to see how the rest of the year goes because we already said Daytona was kind of screwed up. Now the vendors there in Daytona said they all did okay.
It's in a record-breaking year.
It did about the same as they did last. See, the problem with rallies are 20 and 20.
Since we've started.
Yeah, 20 and 21 was excellent years because 2020 was because everybody was locked up. It's like Sturgis. And then 2021, you had all that money.
Stimulus checks.
That people got, and they spent that. So a lot of the vendors now, especially last year, said you had to go back to like 2018 and say, okay, I'm doing what I did back in 2018. But I'm not doing what I did in 2020, 2021, or 2022. So now the rallies are starting to quiet down. Now, could it be because gas is so expensive? Last year a lot of people said because it's an election year. Well, I don't know. When we first started this, it was an election year, and it didn't seem like that really
affected anything.
Yeah, Sturgis wasn't super crowded, but it was still a good rally. So I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't know why, because one of the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, they asked me, I was on the phone with them today discussing some stuff with them. And I say, that's what they said. What is your reasoning you think the two rallies, because they were actually there for Daytona. They were there the first weekend, but they left on Tuesday. That's what he said. This is as crowded as I've ever seen in my whole life. And I said.
And they used to live down in Daytona.
Yeah. And I'm like, it was best that I've ever seen for 5 years. But it just died after that. So I don't know. We have to see how the next three rallies go. You know, Leesburg is usually a pretty good rally. It's not super crowded.
But it's a lot of locals.
Yes,
so.
it's a 300. We call it the 300-mile club, but it's a lot of great people that come to it. It's a really good, fun rally, and everybody works together. The dealership, the city, and the campground out there. Crazy. It's a Crazy Horse.
Windy Acres.
Windy Acres. Sorry, got them all mixed up. Windy Acres. They all advertise together, so that's kind of cool because it gets more people. Now we've been trying to get hold of the guy at Windy Acre, and we keep missing him because he has a regular job. So we got to call him in the evening and talk to him and see what he's got all planned and going on. We're not staying out there. We're going to be in Orlando. So we'll be riding over every day. We probably won't be doing any late nights anywhere. So we'll see how that all goes. But I don't know why. These two rallies have been cooler than they have been in the past. And some people say that. Some people say it's better to go to Biketoberfest. You're more likely to have warmer weather. We've been to Daytona Bike Week, and it's been 90 to almost 100 degrees. So Florida, you can't say one is going to have better weather than the other because it's Florida. You can't really say that about any rally because you never know. It could, we've been in Sturgis and it freaking snowed in August. So yes, you can't predict the weather. So you take the best, you take the good with the bad. We did have one year that we went through in almost all the rallies. We had no rain. But sometimes it can rain one place. Like where we were at the other day. Was it in Daytona?
No, we were at our campground when we were in Arizona, and we were leaving, and it's dry. We don't have the windshield wipers on or not. And as we're passing
trailers next to us on the right side of the road, we're on the left.
It's pouring. It's like, what the heck?
I said, "Welcome to Florida in Arizona." And so we were right there on that line, and that was a drop on our windshield of the truck, but it was pouring down rain on the trailers next to us. And so
we're driving in.
We did get. That part of Arizona gets a lot more rain than what we get on the west side of Arizona. So it rained several times while we were there. But sometimes it was just a little misty rain. Like a couple times we were on the bike and it wasn't enough to even get wet. It was enough to know that you got wet on you.
Well, you could see it on the windshield if it drips and drops, whatever.
So
there's chatter about a 3-day rally in southern Colorado. Brand new campground outside of Canyon City. There you go. Big Whoopi always says aloha and everything, and I said he was from Hawaii. He's from Colorado. He says he just likes the island touch. I thought he was always from Hawaii.
Small rallies are really great, but once again, they're more of a local thing. A lot of people ask us all the time, can you come over to this rally in Ohio? It's 3 days long, or it's in Maine, it's in Indiana.
Well, there was one in North Carolina that
it's like, no.
Shauna wanted us to come to.
But just to be realistic with you, just to show you what we do, Daytona, that's counting the whole month. $1,500 what we made. And that's it. So it cost us $1,000 to fly in, which would have cost me $1,000 to drive in because that's what we paid last year.
And $1,000 home. This was $1,000 round trip for both of us.
And then it was $1,100 for the hotel that we stayed in. And then 160 Biker Chick gave us the pre-rally part for free. She comped us for that. That's why she's on our thing that says thank you for supporting us. So we saved $600 by there because the other hotel I was staying in was $100 a night. So I figured that's what she gave us was $600 for being there. She would have gave us more, but her internet sucked.
Yeah.
And we could have stayed there the whole time and saved money. But the internet sucked so bad, it was worse as
anywhere we've ever been.
And where it was taking all night to put a video up, and I can't have that. I gotta have, and we brought our hotspots, and just there wasn't nothing downtown, and so there wasn't much we could do about it. I gotta have internet at night, at least at night, to upload stuff to where by the time I get up, it's done. Or I like it where I know before I go to bed that it's okay, that I didn't pick up some music or something on it that they're gonna ding me on. And we ain't going to make no money on it. So for us, there's not a lot of money in this. It'd be great if we had the videos brought 30, 50, 60,000 views every time when we're at the rallies, but they don't. So it's like here for Arizona Bike Week, we made $500. So it cost us for the campsite there, I paid almost $200 for, I think it was like $175 or $180 for the 5 nights or whatever, 6 nights that we stayed there. And then we had gas, so it cost us probably just about broke even.
And then the long roundabout way we had to take home.
Yeah, that was a whole another story too. They had a bad wreck the night before and they closed the highway down.
Says.
But see, the problem with that is carrying that with us now. See, I've got a small hotspot now. It's got 5, 6 antennas on it. Now I've got to bring that on the airplane to Leesburg, Myrtle Beach, and Panama City now. I can't bring a Starlink with us. Now, in the trailer, it's a different story. Yes, you could use the Starlink, but we're not taking the trailer to the East Coast anymore because it's too expensive. Plus, it's putting way too many miles. I got 145,000 miles on my diesel truck. If I did another 2 more years, I'd be over 200,000 miles. We'd have to buy a new truck. Or we'd start having chances of breaking down. Oh, no, you can do stuff. No, I don't want that. I like it to where I can drive the truck, and we don't have any breakdowns on the highway. We don't, other than flat tires, which I've learned to just drive under 75 miles, 70 miles an hour, and they last longer. They don't like to be pushed at 80 miles an hour, those little trailer tires. But so I don't mind changing a tire, but I don't want to be out there and have we got a friend right now that's stuck in Mexico. They were on their way home and the motor seized up on their motor home. Been driving motor home they've been doing it 2 years before we did. So 5, 6, 7 years they've been driving this motor home and had no trouble with it. And so they bought it used. And but they've been down in Mexico. They bought property down there too. So they bought a lot, put the trailer on and all that stuff. And so now they want to come back and they want to start traveling the United States. Well, they only got like 200 miles from where they were at. It broke down right outside of La Paz, and they had to get a tow truck. Took all day for it to get there, and then now the guy's rebuilding the motor and everything else on it. Who knows?
He said they'd be there at least a month to 3 months, waiting for the new motor to show up, and then the guy.
That's what I said. Why don't you come back to the States and buy another freaking motor home? It's probably for what they're. That, and I don't know if I would trust somebody in Mexico rebuilding my motor. I don't know if
I think they're getting a whole new motor. They're just gonna slip it in. Yeah, I saw a video the other day. He says, "See the hole in our motor home?" And it looks old looking at it that way because it's got the thing open and.
But yeah, so but things happen. I don't want that because when we're going to a rally, we have a limited amount of time to get there, and that's why I always said if my truck majorly broke down, I'm really just stuck buying a new truck because we just couldn't spend. If we spent a week getting something majorly done, we just missed a whole rally. And
well, the funny thing was he always changes the air filter and the gas filter and all that stuff, oil change before we get on the road to head into Florida for the spring. And was it last year or 2 years ago?
2 years.
2 years ago, where we drove all the way across country, get to Florida, park the RV, get it all lined up, and as soon as we left and we went out, all of a sudden there was no power.
And so I pulled over in this parking lot and I opened the hood and there's diesel fuel everywhere. And
the gas filter line popped off.
Yeah.
But all the way across country,
yeah,
didn't have a problem.
Yeah.
So somebody was watching out for us.
Yeah. So then I got it on temporarily. I think I used a zip tie, and then I ended up ordering a clip from, we rode the motorcycle after that, parked it, and waited for the part to come, and I fixed it. And crap happens. So, but I mean, that wasn't the end of the world. I lost probably 5 to 10 gallons worth of diesel come shooting out of that thing. And diesel's not as flammable, so we went to a car wash right afterwards, and I hosed it all off, and you can still smell diesel for a while, but it wasn't too bad. But, I mean, we can't afford to have something drastically happen. You know, it's just tough. It's like here. If her motorcycle would have quit running, which it ended up, we had a problem with them. I think I know what's wrong with it now. I think the problem with her bike is, even though the lights, so what I did is I put it into travel mode. And the lights weren't flashing. I jiggled the bikes. I always do that before I do it, and it always sets the alarm off. Hers doesn't have a siren. It's just the lights flash. And I even left the key in the ring. We bought a brand new battery for it and everything.
Hi, everyone.
And then we got there, it's dead. So same thing happened. Oh, so I never finished that story. So when they pulled her bike back off of the rack, I go on, and I'm going to pull the bikes around now. So I go to start her bike, and it click, 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 click. And the guy comes out and goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Her bike won't start." I said, "I just got done. We had to charge. I had to jump it at the trailer because I have a bigger jumper. I have a jumper for my diesel because it's due again to new batteries for the truck. And so I carry that in case if the batteries go bad in the diesel, I can jump it and we can get to AutoZone or somebody and put batteries in it. So I'm not buying them until I have to buy them because there are 2 of them. And now they'll probably be $500 for 2 batteries. So So her bike wouldn't stop. So then they kept coming and go, well, I don't know how we're going to get it started, all this. And they said, well,
Oh, to get the tires. This is at the JP
Yeah, JP
Cycles to
Cycles.
get the tires.
So so they said, well, we could jump it off your bike. I said, well, to get the seat off, I need hex driver to get Allen wrenches, hex. And so he got it, and we took off my seat, and we jumped because they said we can't take a jumper off the stage, but we could take a set of jumper cables out of a package and use that. And I'm like, all right. So he started her bike up, and I'm like, don't turn your bike off for nothing. So I pull it around front, and she's getting ready to go. And then I had to go back in and pay for tires. So her bike ran the whole time while we were waiting. And so we ride it all back. And so then when we get it home, so what I ended up doing while we were there, they put a voltage meter on and said it was charging at 18.7. But they used that one from Harbor Freight, that free one that they give away. And I'm like, holy crap. That's all I need now is the freaking alternator's overcharging. And a capacitor, a stator, whatever was going on there. And you still got to tear the whole damn thing, engine apart to get to the stupid thing. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So that's when we went back, got the truck, and we came back around to Harbor Freight. There was a Harbor Freight that was right there by the campground, a mile away. It's on the way back. So I said, stop by there. I'm going to get a better meter, and I'm going to get a jump box for it, even though I got 3 of them at home, but we didn't bring a small one. That way I said, because I don't have Allen, I didn't bring any tools. And so I said, well, not on the bikes. I got tools in the truck, but we don't have a truck. So I said, I don't have an Allen wrench. Take my seat off to jump it. So I'll get a jump spot. We'll charge that up, and it'll be ready to go tomorrow if we have any trouble, which we had no more trouble after that. So when I get home, get back, when we parked the bike to get in the truck, I put the tender on it. So by the time we got all through all that hour or a half of traffic to get back to the campground, stopping at Harbor Freight, I get back and the light's green now. Because when he tested the battery, it was 12.1 with it off. It should have started at 12.1. So at first I was thinking, well, maybe I slid the power wire for the phone charger in between the 2 main wires, which would give, somebody had mentioned that before, that could, you really want the 2 main wires closest to the battery. And so I was thinking, I don't know. Maybe I'll check that, or maybe I won't. So when we got back, I said, she's like, what are you doing out there? I'm going to check the motorcycle. I'm going to start it and see what it's charging. So I get the good voltmeter on it. It's charging between 13.8, and I rev it up. It goes up to 14.1. I'm like, it's fine. It's charging excellent. Check the battery. It's got 12.8 volts. I said, everything looks great now. Let's ride it, and we'll see what happens. We'll put the little jumper in there. We'll have it. And never had any more trouble with it. So when we get it off the trailer, we back up to the shop. I roll out the veteran bike, and I pull it over there. I start it up and pull it over. I back her bike out, hit the button, click, 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 click. So something is going on when it's traveling. It's either got something else in there. There's some kind of sensor. Maybe that bike had an alarm. I don't know. Did your other Sportster ever have an alarm on it?
I don't think so.
Did it never even flash the lights though? Did it? I don't think it did anything.
I don't think so.
Because now she got a key fob. She has no key for the bike except for locking the fork. I don't like that. I don't like that they don't have a key for to turn the ignition on and off. That's my first problem with her bike. But so now I'm thinking, because I just charged it up. I just looked at it yesterday when we went back to the shop, that it's fully charged again. It's ready to go. So I'm going to have to disconnect the battery, or I'm going to see about pulling the main fuse out and check and make sure everything's dead. We'll see what happens next time we haul it, which won't be till Sturgis, where her bike come along again. So we'll see how that all goes. So there's all that mess that's going on. Where am I at?
You're going to talk about the CVO RR.
Okay. We've talked to several of the big dealerships. All the big dealerships are getting one free bike. Not free bike. They're guaranteed one bike.
CVO RR.
Yeah. That's the new $110,000 bike. So
people are saying nobody's going to buy that bike because it's too darn expensive. We've gotten all kinds of complaints and issues. Everybody's saying it ain't never going to sell.
All the big dealers that I've talked to, which is about 25 of them, they already got them sold. They got guys standing in line, credits approved, ready to go. So they will sell them. They'll sell all 130 of these bikes without any problem whatsoever. Why? I think why this is, and here's where we can get right back into Harley-Davidson. What the hell is going on with Harley-Davidson? We're pretty sure that
Yonkin.
No, I think somebody gave it to me and I highlighted it. They said how to pronounce his name. So
It's like Duncan, but it's with a J, but you say it with
let
a
me
Y.
look here at gallery. I took a picture of it, and the guy.
Duncan.
Jochen.
Yonkin.
Jochen Zeitz. Hopefully we pronounced it right this time. They said, you guys really butchered it up. Quit saying Harley-Davidson instead of Harley-Davidson. And I think I say it when I say Harley-Davidson. I say the D, but it's not punctuated enough. You're not hearing it. Because I know it's not Davison. And so just the way that I talk. And I know it's Harley-Davidson. And because I said when you said it, the Bill and what's her name? Karen, you said Davidson. And so I'm not going to argue either way. I don't really care at this point. If I
know what we're talking about.
So, Zeitz here, we're pretty sure he's getting fired. He's got what we're hearing from the right people is he could either resign, retire, or be terminated. And that's kind of what we're hearing. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. That's what we're hearing.
Well, that's what people at his work that would get in trouble or weren't doing their job or whatever, could either be fired or you could resign in lieu of termination.
Yeah. That way you don't have to say somebody, I got fired. So here's what we're hearing. So another guy named Jordan, was that the guy?
I think Jordan.
And I don't remember the guy's name. He was on the board and he's been he's actually the second highest now. We just heard another company just came in and bought 11% stock of Harley-Davidson. So I forget what the name of that company was.
Hopefully it was Elon Musk.
No, it's not. And so.
Hey, Rick.
So here's what's been going on, and we got this from some of the brass that we're talking to. Most of the people that work at Harley-Davidson corporate office, they're at home with all the other government employees that are living off of not doing nothing. And so after talking to a couple dealerships, they're saying the problem is if they call corporate and need to ask a question, it could be days before anybody gets back because there's nobody in the office. These people are all at home working. Get your asses back to work like the rest of America is. Everybody's got to go to their freaking job. Nobody's sitting at home twiddling their thumbs and playing with their kids instead of doing their real job. Because I know most people. My daughter worked at home for a while. She didn't work 8 hours. She worked probably 5 or 6 hours. She got her work done, but she didn't work 8 hours like the rest of us had to go to work and work 8-hour shift. Because the boss is standing there and he's watching you. When you're sitting at home doing nothing, you can get away with a lot more stuff.
So, Brick MC or biker, I don't know. He says those CVO RRs will show up at Mecum auction in a few years for double the price.
Probably. And I don't know if the dealers are going to ask more money for them. Talking about that. We're still talking about Harley-Davidson. Let you know, Black Hills Harley-Davidson and also the new store in town, which has always been there, the Sturgis Harley-Davidson store in town there on Junction, right across from the Gas Monkey Garage, is officially now selling motorcycles. They are selling both of those two dealers, and even during the rally, sell at MSRP. Now, what they told me was MSRP you have to watch now because the MSRP that you pull up on the website is the basic model. There's nothing there. That's gray paint. That's everything. They're charging a pretty good chunk now for different colors. So you pretty much almost have to add about $1,000 to that price to actually have MSRP. Just to let you know. But they are selling their bikes at MSRP. Just FYI. Because there's a few. Laidlaws, they sell theirs at MSRP. There's a handful of dealerships in the country. I think the one in Vermont, I think they sell theirs at MSRP. I think one of the ones in Las Vegas sells theirs at MSRP. I don't remember which dealer.
I think it's Henderson.
Sells theirs at MSRP. So there is dealerships that do sell it at the regular price. So do your shopping. Look at those prices. Have them show you the paper. So getting back to what's going on with Harley-Davidson. So first of all, that's one of the stupid things that's going on is a bunch of these morons working there are working from home and they're not doing their jobs. They're goofing off or whatever they're doing, playing with the dog or jacking the cat off or whatever the hell they're doing. They're not doing their jobs because they're not getting back with the dealerships to service them and get them the answers they need. We also heard that Harley-Davidson is hurting for money that they might sell the finance. I think that'd be the worst thing they could ever do. Because I brought that up. with the price of motorcycles right now, Harley-Davidson owns the finance company. So if you go through Harley-Davidson's finance, whatever that's called, I forget what the company's called now.
Eagle something.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
I don't know. I can't remember what it is. We have one of the main offices right here in Las Vegas.
What is the finance
But
for Harley-Davidson called?
They're thinking about selling it to get some quick cash. And I said no. I said Harley-Davidson right now needs to do is 0%
Eagle Mark Savings Bank.
So that's actually Harley-Davidson owns that. Actually, the guy that owns Orlando Harley-Davidson is the guy that started all the financing.
And he also owns Poconos, and he also owns Laconia Harley-Davidson.
There you go. Something you might not know about. If you ever meet them, he's the guy that started it all. Got it started for Harley-Davidson.
And his wife, yep. Both work for
that, which is really crazy. I never got to meet him, but for somebody that worked from corporate to come to owning dealerships, I think is really cool. I still would love to meet him. I don't know if we'll ever will or not, because now don't have that much time in Orlando to talk to him. And in Laconia, they weren't there. In Laconia, we didn't track them down. And then when we were in the Poconos, they weren't there during Poconos. So a lot of these owners aren't at the dealerships, like our dealership that owns our dealerships all around us in Las Vegas. He doesn't really work at the dealerships either. He's at home. He stops in and looks around. But I mean, the dealerships run on their own. They do their own thing, and he has a general manager that looks over all of them. He's not a car guy. He has car collection, but not a car dealership. So I don't know. So Harley-Davidson is in a big mess right now. What we're hearing is, somebody told me, one of the people that are on the board, see, Zeitz was actually on the board. He's been around since 2017. So he was on the board already before he became CEO. So normally they pull somebody to be CEO off of their board. He said, person I was talking to yesterday said, I hope they don't pick the Ford. There's a Ford person that's on the board that's CEO at Ford or something, because that's the person that was behind DEI and all this woke crap. And I don't know. But I had no idea that they had such a turnover of all those employees that worked at corporate level. They got rid of all those people. So you got all these brand new people in there trying to know what's going on. But it is. Right now, Harley-Davidson is the biggest freaking mess you could ever think of it's going on.
So just imagine what the rally's going to be like this year in Sturgis. Sturgis is a mess. Harley-Davidson's a mess.
And
we're at our daughter's house in Huntington Beach, California.
So I don't know. I don't think Harley-Davidson is going to go bankrupt. I think if this, well, one person I talked to today said that they wouldn't be surprised if one of these dealerships that own a bunch of car dealerships, you know, like Teddy's or somebody like that, would turn around and say, I'm going to invest in a Harley-Davidson. I'll buy them out. My whole idea is, which some people are saying it's good, some is bad. It would be great for everybody that owned a Harley-Davidson is to buy some stock. And then what we do is we find somebody to be the spokesperson, and we sign over what you do is you give them your voting rights. So then you could go to this board meeting in March, April, whenever it's coming up.
May.
Maybe it's May. And yeah, it must be May, because the guy just resigned April. So it must have been May. They're having the meeting. We go in there with this and say, we have the majority of the stock now. I have it signed up. Let's say you pick me. I'm here to tell you how we're going to run the board from now on. And they would have no power to say anything, because if you've got the majority of the shares, you are the key person. And that's what it's all about. It'd be great if somebody like Elon Musk, not even if you like Elon Musk or you don't like Elon Musk, he runs some very successful businesses. I would love the guy to come in and buy about $10 million worth of, or 10 million shares of Harley-Davidson and be in control. And when he gets rid of all these assholes that are up there, get rid of all the woke and all that other crazy crap going on, get some decent people in there to run the company. Problem is, just like, that was my point that I was getting to. This new CVO RR was actually designed by the Bagger Racing team. They have engineers that work on their team and all the stuff, and the mechanics and all the stuff there are all corporate Harley-Davidson people that are inside the company that build stuff. They designed this bike. That's why it's selling, because it's something that professional riders built that they would ride, because it's very similar to the bikes that they race with. Very similar. So
The Orland shocks and the suspension and all that is all.
the engines, everything, it's all built to their specifications. And see, that's what Harley-Davidson needs to get back to. Because I was talking to a dealership yesterday, and that's what I said. He said, what do you think we need to do? I said, well, two things that I've said for a long time is you need to get a bike around $5,000 or $6,000. We need to get an entry level bike. And he said, well, what did you think about when they had the 550 and the 750 that we used to have? I said, the people that had those bikes didn't like them after they bought them. I never rode one. They were made overseas, and I think they were made overseas, if I remember right. But I mean, it didn't look like a Harley. It didn't sound like a Harley. It wasn't that.
It wasn't a Harley.
People just didn't like that bike. And a few people, Art had one. He bought his niece, and he had it and gave it to his brother. But they never really liked that bike. And a couple other people that I know that bought them didn't really like it. What I say, they need to make something that would be like a little miniature bagger bike. Something similar to like a Softail. They could have a couple of small hard bags on the back, a little fairing in the front. Kind of like, what was that stupid bike you were going to buy the first time and ended up being it was a piece of junk too?
The Switchback?
Yeah. Kind of like the Switchback, but a better version of that.
That was a piece of junk bike.
Yeah. The bags flew open. All kinds of stupid shit went wrong with that bike. That's why they didn't sell it very long. But I mean, it's you got to build something that, because like somebody else said, the Pan American's a really excellent bike. It is. But the problem with the Pan American is when I talk to Triumph and BMW, yes, it's very similar to their top of the line bike. But my answer is, let's say I'm a Triumph guy and I'm an off-road adventure bike. So I've been buying a couple of Triumphs because that's what I like. I was able to get in at the lower model at a good price. I went up to the next price, got a little bit better one. Now I'm ready to get the really good one. Oh, I'm going to jump to Harley-Davidson. No, you're not. You're going to stay with your Triumph, because if you had two good bikes, why would you jump to them? Because there's not that big of a difference between Triumph's #1 bike for off-roading and the Pan American. But the problem with Pan American is they have nothing to get to that bike. You can't build the best and say, okay, we expect everybody to buy that bike because it's great. Well, over in Europe, they like it, but they don't like it over here in the United States. They don't buy enough of them. So
V-Rodder says they need to bring the V-Rod back, bring sexiness back.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. My two things that I told them that I recommended, which I'm not talking to corporate, I'm talking to dealerships. And I've told this already to them, but I actually gave them a price, because I said, you need a bike between $5,000 and $6,000 that people can get into. The second thing, which wasn't part of this, when we was talking about the financing, I said, Harley-Davidson right now needs to do 0% financing for 7 years on a motorcycle. Sell them. Eat the price and sell them. That way people can get into them at a decent price. You're not paying all that interest on them. And it's not so bad buying a $28,000 bike.
Not upside down in 3 years when you decide either you don't ride it enough or you
and so I said, because he asked me some more questions. What else have you been? See, the difference between what we do than what everybody else does is because I'm on the internet all the time. I'm on all these different groups, and I'm seeing what people are writing and things like that. If you take your bike into the shop and it needs anything major, even a serious serious electrical part, ECM even, you're looking at 7 to 10 days before that can get in, because they don't stock them because they're too expensive for the dealership to have them. And they got too many of them for different bikes. They're not the same for every one of them. So now you're there for 10 days. You got to wait for that to show up. And so that's the first problem is the dealerships aren't able to stock all the parts they need for the most popular bikes that they're selling. So that's one of the problems. The second thing is it's stupid for me to have to pay $500 for a 3-hole oil change. That's insane. And,
V-Rodder says the V-Rods were $5,000 to $6,000 on a reliable bike and not junk. I didn't know they were that. I thought they were expensive.
I don't know. I've rode some of them, but I never priced them. So I don't really know what a V-Rod ever sold for. I never really priced one of those. A Sportster, originally a Sportster, you could get a Sportster for $6,000 or $7,000. But I mean, we're looking 20 years ago. Right now, the cheapest motorcycle is that new one. It's $9,995.
Under $10,000.
Yeah. But that's not, a kid out of high school isn't going to spend $10,000 for a motorcycle. He needs a car first. Motorcycles we're not in foreign countries where if you're in China and you're in Europe and stuff, and people, that's the first thing they're riding is scooters and motorcycles for transportation. In the United States, there's not that many people that's their sole, the only way they
Mode of
ride. Yeah,
transportation.
most people have a car. You're in California here, people own 2.5, per person owns the average of 2.5 cars. I don't know where they get that half a car at. I think you always had to have a full car. If you had the front half or you have the back half of the car. I don't know.
The left side or the passenger side or the driver's side?
I don't know. But more
Okay.
people have, but now there's an exception. There's people that's got 10 motorcycles at home and have maybe one car. But I'm saying on the average. But most people don't buy a motorcycle just to be their only means of transportation. One, if you're living in Wisconsin or you're living up in Maine where it snows and all that, you're not going to ride around. Not saying that you don't. There could be a guy that's got a snow ski on the front of his bike and he's got a knobby on the back and he rides it to work every day. That can happen. I have seen that. Maybe in Alaska they do that. But not normally, you're not doing that. So you got to make it, and this is the whole industry. And somebody else try to say, I'm just going to buy a Honda. You know, the last time I looked at a fully dressed a Honda, it was over 40 grand.
Same as a CVO.
So
Indian's the same way. If you get one of those, what is it,
Chieftain or whatever it is, whatever their best Indian is, it's over 40 grand. So when people say they're not the same, well, yes, they are. When you get up to their top models, you're paying that big money. Indians still got bikes that are $20,000, $30,000, but they've got an entry-level bikes too. You can get the Scout, and it's reasonable, a little bit better price. I don't know what the current price is over there.
The one I like, though, is the one without the bags, I think, was 20, and with the bags was 22. It's called a Chieftain Sport or something.
There you go. So that you're right in there with Harley-Davidson.
But I like it. It looks really cool.
And she likes because it sits lower. She wanted to ride one, but we never got around to riding one.
The seat is real skinny. I like that.
Keeps her legs closer together.
Yeah. Dave's Classic Cars. Harley-Davidson definitely needs an entry-level motorcycle under $10,000 made in the good old USA.
Yeah. And hopefully with all these, everybody's complaining about these tariffs and all this kind of stuff. Actually, the one daughter we're with today is actually very liberal. They're out at a soccer game, so they're gone. And actually, we had a good conversation talking about tariffs and stuff like that. And she's okay with tariffs. She just did wish they wouldn't have dumped them all at one time. Should have. But sometimes
a rollout plan.
Sometimes I think what's going on now, I can see that this might have been a good idea. That you dump them all on it, and all these countries go, oh no, what are you doing? If you don't know,
shock factor.
So if we would sell a Harley-Davidson that's made in America and we send it to Japan, not Japan, but if we send it to England, or if we send it to China, they're putting 25, 50, even up to 100, over 100% tariffs on them. That's why somebody wrote the other day and said, I don't know what country they were in, but they said a $25,000 bike, Harley, last year, before tariffs were ever put in, you bought it in England, would cost you 45,000 American dollars. And they said that's because of the tariffs. And so there's only 4 countries, I can't remember them all. One's Hong Kong, one's Switzerland, and I forget what the other 2 are, that never charged us tariffs. Everybody else charges America stuff tariffs. So we never really charged anybody for bringing stuff in here. Biden put some tariffs on a few countries, but very small tariffs. And so like China, for instance, what is it, 145% or something right now? In about 30 days to 6 months, they're going to be in turmoil because America is the country that gives China their money, their network here. Almost everything we buy is made in China. Everything. There's very few things you find that doesn't have the China stamp on it. You might find something that came from the Philippines or from Japan, but 90% of it is from China. It used to be everything was from Thailand or Taiwan, but there is some things, Harbor Freight Tools. I think most of those are made in Taiwan, and they're going to make those new the CV the Pan American. They're going to make it in the 1250 series. They're all going to be made in Taiwan because the tariffs. Because Taiwan doesn't charge any to England. They don't charge Taiwan any charges to send the bike over there. Tariffs to charge them. See, that's not right. If we're not,
can't make them here and sell them to Europe because they'd have to pay twice as much, but they can make them in Taiwan and sell them to Europe because that's where they sell the majority of the Pan Ams is in Europe. So Softail Jeff has a question. Do some or any dealerships have a buy-in option to be an employee? I sure would do it, and I would think it would help such dealerships out at the same time.
So are you
work
talking
off
about
buying a bike?
well, are you talking about getting a rewards program? Or other than that, I'm not sure what you'd be talking about buying in.
A buy-in option to be an employee.
So are you looking for that to get an employee discount?
Or you can work for the dealership to pay off your bike. I don't know if that's what he's meaning, maybe. I can't sit here much longer.
So I'm not sure what you're asking. There's dealerships that have reward programs. You could definitely get a job at a Harley-Davidson dealership. They're all hiring, looking for people all the time. And you can buy a bike while you're there. So other than that, I don't know. Corporate level, I don't know what benefits they get. You could look in their union. You could look up like the Milwaukee factory and you could find out what union they are. You could go online and find their union contract and see if they get any special incentives. For instance, like if you work at Ford or you work at Chevrolet, you get cars at employee discounts. And so you save some money. So there is deals like that, but you have to work.
Employee price.
You wouldn't get it at a dealership. You would have to work at a corporation. Now, if you
interest in the dealership, I have $100,000 to throw down.
So, well, you would have to look and see, for instance, you could go to Black Hills Harley and you can invest in the Sonic Group. The Sonic Group owns that and it's traded on the market. Right now, their stock is just a little bit less than Harley-Davidson's. So you could do that and you would be, but you wouldn't be buying into one dealership. Now, you couldn't do it like at Teddy Morris because Teddy Morris is it's a family-owned business. It is not on the market. So you can't invest in. So you could invest into any of the dealerships that have stock. And if you got into one that wasn't super big, you might have control of it. Have more control. 100,000 probably is going to give you control of it. You could always contact some dealers and see if they want a silent partner. What you could do, right now I wouldn't want to invest anything in a small dealership because you don't know how they're doing. Because that's some of the things that's going on, which I forgot to ask the dealerships I've talked to this week about. Because what they were saying is a year ago, bikes were about 90 days on somebody's floor. Now they're up to 140 days average on a floor. So they're not selling them as fast as they were doing a year ago. So that's some of the problem that the guy that resigned from the board is. But you're right. Everybody on that freaking board needs to be adiosed. Because none of them know anything about motorcycles. They're not motorcycle enthusiasts. They might own a motorcycle, but they're not anyone that owns a motorcycle and rides it any distance. I don't think any of them's rode it to Sturgis or anywhere else to any kind of rally. They've rode a bike, but they might have done a ride or something like that. Zeitz did a ride when we were in Milwaukee. He did the ride and we rode behind him. And but he's not same thing. He's more of an adventure bike guy than he was
off-road bike.
The one when they were talking about him retiring, somebody said when they went to the next paragraph, they're like, "Oh, and he probably dropped the shoe. Oh, a Puma shoe. That's where he came from, Puma." Mm. And they thought that was funny. And but yeah, it's what, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we'll get down to the Sturgis, give you a little bit of update about what's going on with Sturgis. First of all, if Rumble On, Rumble Now, Ride Later, whatever the hell they're called today.
Ride On.
They're not coming back anymore. They're done. One probably is a good thing because there's still people that have not gotten their titles from last year yet. So don't know much about the company. They own dealerships in everything. They're in the Harleys, Hondas, Kawasaki's, Indians. They own dealerships, just about any brand they buy. I think they got some car dealerships too. So don't know much about them. So they're gone. So they were in that big building there next to JP Cycles. That's going to be empty at this moment. Nobody's picked that up. The city is only going to have, they normally have about 29 bands. They're only going to have 12 or 16 bands now. They're only going to have a band in the late afternoon, which I think is stupid. There's my question. If you're going to Sturgis, are you going to hang around downtown at night and listen to bands? or are you going to go out to the Buffalo Chip or the Iron Horse or the Knuckle or the Full Throttle and listen to their bands? So that they're going to have a mayor ride, which I think is stupid for them to have a mayor's ride. You people, I don't even know who the hell the mayor is this time. They just put one in. I don't know who the hell the guy is. We've never met him. Don't know anything about the guy. I'm not riding with him. I'm not even interested in that. They're going to have the police chief's ride, but they're putting that off on the chief. He's got to get it through his organization to get it going. I got to call the chief and see if he needs some help. We'll get him some sponsors. And to do the police ride. That's the Thursday before the rally. Wednesday or Thursday before the rally is when his ride is. And other than that, not a lot of stuff is going to change. One of the things, let me see, you can talk a few minutes. Let me see if I can find mine.
So I was looking at, Rick says, Bob keeps saying Vegas. So you guys are here, not home. No, we're in California.
We didn't watch the beginning.
Yep.
We were in Vegas 2 days ago.
Yeah. We had to run up there real quick for a doctor's appointment. So now we're in California for a doctor's appointment on Monday. So.
And we're going to see Jay Leno tomorrow night. That's why we're not on.
Yeah, we're going to be, that's why we're doing a live tonight instead of tomorrow night, because Jay Leno, we're going to see him in Hermosa Beach, and he does a stand-up comedy show there. And it's very intimate. It's very small. There's probably less than, 50 people in there? Less than 100 probably at least. So anyway, so Danny was on too. Danny and Lori and Billy and Tara. I think I got them all. We're not staying downtown at night. Yeah, a lot of people don't. So, or if they do, they're at the bars. So they're not really sitting out on Main Street at Harley Square listening to the bands. So Rick said, okay, thanks. So I guess I'm assuming you made it home okay, safe and sound. And did you get to drive up the 93, 98, whatever that was? It was closed up. He was in the same boat we were. He went to Arizona Bike Week too. And I called him at 11 o'clock and I said, have you left yet? And he said, no. And I said, well, don't take the 93 or the 98. I don't remember what road it was. But anyway, yeah, it was, there was a fatal car accident because we left on Sunday. So I guess the guy must have died after the fact. And so they had the big crime scene investigation and had both lanes blocked off. It's only a 2-lane road, one going north, one going south. And so we were just stuck in traffic forever. And then we finally got turned around and went a long way home. But it would have been really long for him to go home because he was going to Vegas. I prefer Deadwood at night.
Another choice.
Yep, that's nice, especially if you're staying down there, because then you're back and you don't have to worry about fighting the animals in the dark, and because it gets pretty dark out there at night. So yeah, tonight and tomorrow night, you go out and look at the moon. It's supposed to be a pink moon for the 12th and 13th. They said the pink moon's going to be out in April. It's supposed to be the smallest moon of the year that you'll see, but it's supposed to be pink. So we'll see. Probably just depends on the light, the way the sun shines on it. So
yeah, I can't find the article right now. So let me put it up. They want me to pay for it. I ain't paying for it. I'll have to go back and find where I found it at. But I didn't realize, and she said that the chief told us this last year about talking about Sturgis.
the sheriff.
Besides having just the local police, the state police, and the county,
and they bring people in.
They bring in other officers like the FBI's there, ICE is there, Homeland Security is there. So there's a lot of stuff going on. That's how they found they caught a guy that was going to try to come and blow up Sturgis. Was last year?
Montana, 2 years ago, I think.
And they caught the guy. And because Homeland Security tracked this guy down off the internet or whatever, stupid people writing stupid stuff if they're going to
manifest.
Yeah. Got to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm so stupid. I got to write it down. Make sure I don't mess nothing up.
And let the whole world know about it so stupid they can find me.
Yeah. So typically, if you're going to Sturgis this year, you're probably not going to see anything really change. You know, they're still going to have the same porta potties there. They're going to have the shower house over there at the community center. That's still going to be going on. That's all set up to be done. Swimming pool's closed, but I think it's closed last year too. I don't think it's open during. Yeah, I guess it was open before. The pool will not be open this year during that time. But the shower house, you can get your shower and do all that stuff. That's all going to still be there. The porta potties are all going to be out there. The street cleaning, the the week before they come out, I think it's like July 13th, they clean all the streets, they repaint the lines on the road, they do all the stuff downtown. All that's all approved and going on. But the only big thing they've done, they got rid of some of these things. They had a pub crawl, which I couldn't believe. That's why the city is broke, because they gave all the liquor you could drink and all the food you could eat for free for going on this pub crawl, paying a couple bucks to get on it. A lot of the other rides they got rid of. So they're only going to do the mayor ride, and they're going to do the Chiefs ride. Chiefs ride's only there if you get there pre-rally, because you can't do it during the rally. It's too busy. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of rides. Buffalo Chip's got a whole bunch of rides going on out at Pappy Hoyle. They have a ride or two out there. The veterans, I think the VFW or somebody, they have some rides going on. So there's plenty. If you're looking for a ride to go on, there'll be plenty out there to escort you and go on rides. You just got to start looking, and we'll talk about it as we get closer to the rally. We'll let you know where these different rides are coming from.
And they're going to have a new one at there's one out there at the Air Force Base, Ellsworth Air Force Base. They have one that Neil told us about last year. I mean, I guess they have it every year, but you get to drive on the tarmac and see the planes and get your picture taken.
And then you ride. I think they end up coming right in the Sturgis or something on it.
Yeah, and I think it includes a dinner or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Lunch or something. So there's a lot of things like that will be going on in Sturgis. Leesburg and Panama City and Myrtle Beach, the stuff's starting to come up on the internet. They do have Motley Crue. Not Motley Crue. It's Leesburg.
Molly Hatchet?
No. It's a band we'd like to see. I can't think of who it is. That's in Leesburg.
She told us, didn't she?
Yeah, I already had a banner on it. It's not Motley Crue. It's like a 70s, 80s band. Marshall Tucker Band. That's it. Marshall Tucker Band's going to be there. And they got a couple other good bands in Leesburg. Those are free. You can pay for VIP and get in seats there. All the dealerships will have your typical stuff, Jasmine Kane, different things like that, Big Engine. They'll be at some of the different places playing and stuff.
Kid Rock or whatever.
Cowboy
is going to be there too, I think.
And so that's typical stuff that's going to be there. Panama City is not going to have any major concerts. They're probably never will ever again have any headliners, unless new owners come in. People that are running it now, it got it back like it used to be.
Yeah,
a lot of good local bands. Jasmine Kane will probably be there, Big Engine, all the typical ones, Cowboy. All those will probably be in Panama City at some of the different bars and stuff. At Frank Brown Park, they'll have bands during the day, but they'll have nothing at night going on out there. Myrtle Beach, you have to just check out Suck Bang Blow. They usually try to bring in some decent bands. They've had some different ones, some good ones over the years, better than some of the other rallies I've had. They might have Saliva, or they've had Jackyl out there before and stuff like that. They're kind of the only one that really has bands. Beaver Bar has bands, but it's more local stuff. They don't have any big names or nothing, but I mean, they've had some good bands there. So that's kind of that way. If you Ocean City should have some big names again. We're still waiting to kind of hear about that one. They got some pretty good bands this year that's going to be out at Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue. This year it's going to be later. The talk is they're trying to get something going starting the weekend before, the last weekend in September. So it'll go for the whole week from that Saturday or Friday to the end of the week, Sunday the next week to the 4th.
It'll end on the 6th. This year starts on the 4th, ends on the 6th.
I thought it started on the 1st. I think you're wrong. I think it's the 1st through the 4th.
I guess it is.
And
there, I can tell you how many days.
All right, so she's looking at the rally here. Here's our rally schedule. Holy smokes. How many days do you think it is to Leesburg?
12.
Holy crap. Thunder Beach Rally.
18.
Holy Jennifer Jupiter's Batman. In Myrtle Beach.
27.
Holy smokes. Less than 30 days. We got 3 rallies to get through. Rally time.
Taking names and whatever they say.
Kicking ass and taking names.
There you go.
And Sturgis is 111 days. But for us, it's about 35 days.
Yeah, because we're going to be there in June 1st.
Ocean City is 151 days. Bikes, Booze, and Barbecues, 172 days. That'll wrap up our year for, we might be going Biketoberfest, but we're waiting. We have 2 sponsors that are interested in us coming to Biketoberfest. They better get going on it if they want us to come, because the prices of airline tickets are climbing drastically. Right now, For us to fly down there, it's going to cost over $1,700 round trip for us to fly down there alone. So it's not cheap. So we're waiting, and we ain't gonna make $17 in 4 or 5 days of a rally. Yeah, and $1,700 in 4 or 5 days at Biketoberfest. We'll probably do $500, $600, $700, but so we think we got a motorcycle maybe already lined up. We think we might have a place to stay. We're waiting for the two to see if they're going to come up with a little bit of money to help us get down there. If they could come up with $1,000 each, that would get us their plane tickets down there. And then if they give us a place to stay, that'll cover that. And if we got a motorcycle to ride, that covers that. We can afford to buy our food, and we can afford to put gas in the motorcycle. And so we'll see how that all goes, and we'll let you know if that happens. But one of them said they wouldn't know till sometime early summer. So that's June, May, or late May or early June for summer.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens if that comes through or whatever. And then we have the other one that should let us know anytime. We're waiting to hear back from them. So we tried to make phone calls to them last week, and the person was off that day. So let's try next week and see if they're there.
Yep.
So let's see what's happening there. Does anybody have any questions? No live tomorrow, because we're going to go see Jay Leno tomorrow night. So we'll let you know how that goes. I love Jay Leno. He's always been great. We've met him a bunch of times in person. He's always been a great guy. He's as real as he is when he was on TV.
Yep.
He's as real a guy as he is. He's very easy talking to, and he's very nice. He always takes time for people. If you see him on the street, or we've even seen him in the car, and he just stops, and security yelled at us. It was at NBC when they used to be in Burbank, and we're like, Jay! He was pulling in with one of his cars, and he stops and goes, hey, guys! And we wanted to go talk to him, and the security guard chased us off. But Jay wanted to talk to us.
Yeah.
But the security guard chased us off from NBC. And so it's
there you go.
Pretty exciting. What?
GK Rides and Mad Hatter are both from Central PA. So you guys will have to figure out if you're close to each other. What towns are you from?
Yeah. So Ryder X didn't come on tonight. He probably didn't know we were coming on. He's thinking about going to Sturgis this year. So I'll see if he shows up at Sturgis or not. And
we'll see him in Ocean City, so
yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, I should come to Ocean City and see us. And Ocean City's always fun. It's probably, if we weren't sponsored, I probably wouldn't go to it. But I mean, we do see a lot of you guys there. A lot of you East Coasters come down to there, and there's still a couple bars we want to still check out that's down there that we want to see.
Fishtails is one.
And Emory HVAC wants to take us up to take us across the ferry up there by New Jersey or whatever. And so that'd be kind of cool.
Don't ride a helicopter.
That'd be kind of cool to do. Yeah, we ain't going to. We've done a helicopter tour. We won't do it anymore. Those people ended up being from Siemens, where she used to get her X-ray equipment and radiation equipment from. They were one of the executives in family, and it was a kid's birthday. I mean, anything can happen. You can get killed in your bathtub. You can slip and break your neck. But, so it's...
when God calls you home.
But it's just like we have had a lot of, this one I don't think had anything to do with traffic controllers or anything like that. I think it was just probably something happened to the helicopter, because I've seen videos, and you've probably seen videos too. This thing dropped out of the sky like a rock. That's the only thing bad about a helicopter. If the engines die, it's just one big rock hitting the ground.
At least with the airplane, you can glide in maybe and make a safe landing, but not
helicopter. Just down it goes. And but I mean, we don't see a lot of helicopter accidents. I don't know if I guess they have black box. She asked me that question too. Do they all have black boxes on?
Well, that one that was in the same area,
that was
the helicopter hit a plane, or vice versa. The plane hit the helicopter, and then
I would think most do. It's even like a lot of your cars you have the data saved in there, that they can see how fast you were going. They can see what your braking was. Everything's now controlled by a computer in your cars. Motorcycles are getting that way too. That's what somebody else said. Could we get away from, Harley needs to get back away from all the computers. Well, the problem is you can't, because with the emission laws and all the stuff that's getting on there, you got to have more control over the vehicle to try to keep it burning as clean as it can be. That's their story. That's what you have to go with. And so it's like Harley-Davidson. If they put radiators on the bikes, they can take a lot of the emissions off. I don't know why. I wouldn't have trouble. It wouldn't hurt my feelings for me to have a radiator on the front of my Harley.
Well, don't yours have a cooling system?
Well, it cools the head, but I mean, it don't do shit. It don't really do anything that amounts to anything. It cools a few degrees, but I mean, it can cause more trouble than it's worth, because it's the rest of the cylinders.
One more thing to go wrong.
Yeah, well, it could cause more damage. Have a lot of you heard about D&D with their exhaust? There's a big thing going on there, which they quit making it, which is I have talked to Speeds about it, but it amazes me that the engine could suck in particles from the valves. Because when I worked on cars for years, most exhaust manifolds on cars, the older cars, they're rusted inside. It flakes off. And I never seen any of that ever get back inside the engine. So what they're saying is D&D was taking these exhaust pipes and they were being coated inside for heat or whatever the case is, and that heating was coming off. Somebody took a pipe and they rattled it on the ground, and you could take a header pipe off a bike, a straight pipe that's been on your bike for a while, and you could beat on it, and there's going to be some stuff come out of it, carbon or rust or whatever is inside the pipe. Unless it's even stainless steel can get some kind of rust on it. So I don't know. I've seen all these pictures on especially on the M8s that people have had this D&D pipe on it, and they're all blaming D&D for their engines going bad and all this, and it seems like most of them had problems once they went to changing the performance of the motor. They changed the cams, they put different heads on it. They're making it non-stock anymore, and then they put a 2-in-1, and they're having problems. Well, some of the issues that I seen look to me more like it wasn't tuned properly, that it was running too lean or it was running too rich, which was causing the problem. See, a lot of these guys now just tune with a computer, and they're basing that on this is what should make it run right, but they're not dynoing it, so you don't know. And you got to have somebody that knows how to do dynoing to make sure they're doing it right. So when you're out there and your performance, it's like Rider X was on here. His first 131 ended up being a basket case. He ended up having to pretty much buy a whole new engine.
Do everything over.
After the dealer screwed it all up. And so if you got somebody that's doing your motor that doesn't really know what they're doing, can run into a lot of problems. That's why I tell Speeds is my guy, and that's why I have them do most of my work. If I was going to buy a new motor or something, I probably would buy an S&S, just for the fact of the warranty that comes with it. So that's kind of what I would be thinking. I don't know if I would, because now that's what I look at my bike. Just the money that I've spent on having the lower end done, I could have bought a whole new motor for that. You can pick up good motors. You can get a good motor for between $3,000 and $5,000. You could get you a decent, you're not going to get a 131, but you could get a decent motor, performance motor for that. I know a few places that have motors that they would give a good deal on. I could have had a 120, 121, 120 put in my bike for $6,000. And so that would have been, which I don't have that much in the bottom of my motor, but I mean, I got 3,500 in the bottom of my motor, where I would have just doubled that. I would have had a new motor and I would have been done with the 110, and I would never had to worry about that, hopefully, again. But it's always an instance when you do that, when you start changing your motor and doing things on it, and it's like some people put on there, it's a 475 cam. It's a piece of junk if you don't know what you're doing. No, you need to know what you're building. You got to get everything to match up. It's just not like throwing a cam in and everything's going to be better. No, you got to get everything right. And there's a lot of guys out here that they don't dyno a bike. They put cams in all day long, and they're just mapping them. And that you might get lucky and it might run halfway decent, but does it run it at the peak performance that it should? I would say probably not. But most of them will say, well, Speeds is thinking about starting to do that. They still do the dyno, but they're losing jobs because there's other guys out here that aren't charging for dynoing. They're just mapping them. So he's trying to figure out how he could word that. Well, I said, go in and show, here's a complete job. Here's dynoing it, here's doing all that. What do you think about that? And somebody says, yeah, let's do it. Okay. Well, I don't know. Well, what is the part you don't like? Is it $500 too much? $600 too much? Well, yeah, that'd be a little more line. Okay, we could map it. You could drive it and see how it does. That would save you. We wouldn't be dynoing it. If it runs good enough for you and you think it runs, you're happy with it, you could just live with your map. If you want to bring it back and dyno it, then you need to pay for the dyno in that at that point. That'd be your call. He just doesn't know if he feels comfortable explaining it that way. But other guys are out here selling them. Another big truck out here that sells it, 2 big trucks that are selling cam jobs, and they're not dynoing them. They don't have a dyno. So you're getting what you're paying for. You want it done right, Or do you want to just, hopefully it's okay. And so when you're spending money, you got to think about that. And see, some guys don't tell you that. If they're just mapping it for you, if you're just putting an air cleaner on, you're just putting an exhaust pipe on, and they just go in there and change the mapping, that's not the end of the world. But if you're having cams put in, or you're having different cylinders put in, or whatever you're having done major like that in the motor, then yes, you should have your bike dyno to make sure it's right. There was one the other day, I don't know if it was Speeds I was talking to, I think it was Speeds. They dynoed a stock bike, and they actually got 7 more horsepower out of the bike on stock. So they're like, because he brought it over and showed me, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's just taking a stock bike. Everything was just right off the showroom floor. It was an M8, and they got 7 more horsepower out of dyno in it. If 7 horsepower makes a difference to you, and they got more torque out of it too. I don't remember what the torque number was. So they got a little more out of that too. So it's like, that's not bad.
So Isabella Monica's on. That's Mon. They're on. Bob Salong says, I want to put a Hayabusa motor in my Street Glide. Hayabusa.
I have never heard of that. But let
And
me
those
look.
motorcycles, aren't there those motorcycles that?
I don't know. Let
I
me
don't know,
Google
my
it.
phone is going nuts.
Let me Google this and see what this is.
John down in San Antonio said that he says that the helicopter went down to a problem with the transmission that splits the power between the tail rotor and the main rotor, and the tail section seemed to fade.
It was a Suzuki.
Oh, a Suzuki motor?
Yeah, no, Suzuki Hayabusa.
And then he said that the body of the helicopter turned upside down, separating the rotor. So it's a HAY.
Geez, that thing goes 108. That motor goes 180. You can go 188 to 194 miles an hour with that thing. The 2001 went 186 miles an hour. It's a 1340 cc motor.
Wow. That's a fast one.
Yeah.
If my 93 bike's motor gets too much blown by, see you, Bob, and we'll be saying how much you paid for your bore it, if they will go to an S&S way.
And also know another guy. There's a guy we have out here in Kingman. He's got a bunch of motors, new motors, and some that they've rebuilt, and they're just sitting on a shelf. And that's where he was going to give me the deal on mine for $6,000 installed, out the door, dynoed and everything. And I said, well, if I would have spent $3,500 on it the year before, I would have done it. But I don't know what I'm going to do with my bike. I don't know. Because that's what people say. Somebody the other day when I did my video said, you're in that older group. You have no intentions of ever buying a new bike. I would never say never. I like the new bikes. I like the 24s. I haven't rode a 25, but I figure the 24 and 25 probably right about the same. I like the new bike. I like the new Road Glide. I like that. I would own one. I'm just not going to pay the money they want for it right now. But I mean, if they came out with 0% financing on it and they gave me a halfway decent trade-in, maybe. But no, I'm not at this moment. Not looking at a new bike because that's what this guy was trying to refer to me, that I'm the wrong generation. I shouldn't be thinking about what Harley should do. I'm not the next generation. What I look at is what is it going to take for that next generation to ride a bike? You know, the problem is just like some of the people that have been making comments.
Bicycle first.
Well, some of the problem that we've seen, just like here, a lot of dealerships have dropped hog groups. They disband them. Harley just doesn't.
Online now.
Well, it doesn't seem like Harley really cares about the hog groups anymore. You might have a great hog group where you're at, but there's really no benefit. One of the things when we first started riding, they gave you all these discounts. You got 20% off of all Best Westerns. They had all different kinds of deals going on, get discounts on towing, all just endless amount of stuff that you got a good savings on it. You got something for your investment of paying your membership for it. And now you really don't. Oh, they'll give you some things for doing mileage. Who the hell cares? I don't keep track of my freaking mileage, and I'm not going to the dealership. And the idea is that what they want is you to come back to the dealership so they can say, oh, you need an oil change. Oh, hey, you need to buy a new tire. That's why they want you to come back in the dealership so they can register your miles. And sometimes you can do it online. But I mean, I don't need a stupid patch that says I rode 30,000 miles, 50,000 miles, 100,000 miles. I probably, in my Harleys, since when did I get the first one?
2007.
I probably rode about 150,000 miles on those bikes, and I never rode them to work. She rode hers, but I never rode mine. She rode 40,000 miles on her bike, her Ford Sportster. Well, she really had 12,000 on it, so you rode 38,000 miles on her bike. And so that was her. She rode it every day to work, and she rode it once to Laughlin on it, and I don't know if you rode it to Vegas or not. But other than that, she really never rode it a far distance.
I mean, I would ride my bike when we do rides.
Yeah, which we could do a 300-mile ride on a day. So she did that, but we rode all the time. That was the difference. We lived in California, and you could ride your freaking bike on Saturdays and Sundays. We probably close to 1,000 miles every Saturday and Sunday and go nowhere. Just like here, we rode 250 miles in the truck. I rode 250 miles. I drove 250 miles after we got there, and then I put another 200 miles on the bike. So we rode, and we didn't go anywhere. We just went back and forth to the vendors and to the locations, and it was when I looked at the mileage on the truck, I was like, holy crap, I can't believe we drove that many miles. And I looked at the motorcycle, her bike, and I'm like, holy crap, we rode over 200 miles on our bikes. And I'm like, that's just insane. It just doesn't seem like that. I would have thought maybe 50 miles, but I guess more than that, because it was 25 miles to get to there, and we went 4 or 5 trips there. That's 50 miles round trip. Then we went
to that Buddy Stubbs, and that was probably 25 miles down the road straight instead of going west or whichever way we went, east. I guess it was east.
So
I took a tri-glide out for a demo ride in Phoenix. That mostly will likely be my next bike, but it will keep up the 93 around to ride in town. There you go.
And that's not a bad idea to have. This is like this bike we're going to give away to veterans. And I got all the parts for it now. We're going to see if somebody wants to donate money for the ignition switch and the speedometer and the cable I had to get. I haven't figured out the price yet on that. And because we're trying to we don't really want to take any money out of the veterans' money because we don't really have that much in there. It's only $1,250. And I'll take the money back out for what Art put in. We returned it, and we'll take that back out and put on my card because I have a receipt for the tires. And so we don't really want to spend any money out of that. So, but I mean, that's a cool little bike. I love the little bike, but I wouldn't want to go cross country on it or nothing. It's a freaking soft tail. The seat's hard. Hurts my butt. Seat. And but I mean, you could pad the seat a little bit, but I mean, it's a little bitty triangle seat. You couldn't really it looks stupid if you put too much padding on it. And
I was going to write Mustang and see if they'd donate one.
But I don't know if they'd even have a seat that would fit on that.
Call her and ask her.
So but I like the bike. It's a really cool little bike. It's got a lot of power on it. But it'd be great to run around town with. I've had a couple people. Say they would drag it to all the rallies and show it off and all that. And we're not at this point getting ready to give it away yet. It's probably going to be after Sturgis because we got to get the tires on. I want to put at least 100 miles on it to make sure the tires are kind of seated before I give it to somebody. I don't want somebody to get out and slide on it or something in wet weather. Put a little mileage on the tires. Maybe ride to Vegas and back or something. I don't know what I'll do with it. But it's going to be a cool little bike for somebody. It's
fun to know who gave it to us. Like we haven't given it
away. We haven't given the veteran.
We haven't gave the Marine bike away yet either.
Yeah, we're still waiting. Well, see, that's going through the cat house and it's going through Spring Fling. And the issue there is Jeff's been sick this last week. You don't know what he's got. He's a little better today, but he's got work to do too. He's got a construction company he runs too besides the bar. His wife runs the bar mostly, and he just bounces and does all the hard stuff. And she runs the actual operation. And so we got to get the okay on that and make sure he got the bike. Because the first bike he got the title was all messed up on it. So he ended up not buying it. And so he was picking up a 2002 Softail. And we got a bunch more veterans. Not veterans. That one we're giving away to a Marine. So we got some more that from Arizona bike. We got that name to look up too. That lady was going to give us a bunch of names.
For what?
Remember on the video, they told us that place they could find us a bunch of Marines.
Oh.
It was on the video. I said I recorded it and I showed you that.
Yeah.
And said we could call that lady and she would pass it out to a bunch of veterans.
You've got a week.
I know we need to do that tomorrow. But I got the video with me. I guess I brought all the hard drives. I was planning on doing videos this week while I'm here because I need to do Boss Hoss's stuff done, get it all out, and then I wanted to do one on the. We're going to do another one on Sturgis, get all my notes that I've got and talk all about Sturgis to give you all the updates and all that stuff. We just kind of gave you a little tidbit of information tonight about what's going on with Sturgis. And
you need to do a tease for Leesburg.
Yeah. I'll get that when I get home.
To do.
Yeah. And not a lot of time to do it in. So I got a bunch of videos I can put on. Because next week we're not gonna. I don't know if we'll do a live next Saturday. We'll have to watch and see how many people were actually on this one. There's only 40 on now. So
got up to 60.
So I don't know what the turnout was. If this was halfway decent, we might do another live next Saturday again. But Sunday's Easter. I'm not gonna do one on Easter Sunday. Just figure people are probably with families and stuff like that. So we'll skip Sunday. So at this point, we wouldn't do another live probably until we get to Leesburg. So I don't know if we'll do a Leesburg live on Sunday, but we'll definitely do some lives like up Saturday or Friday down on Main Street and stuff. So because they always have pretty good internet down there. So we always find out one of the bars there will let us sit at the table out there for a while and do a live from there and show you guys what's going on there. And AmsOil Adam will be bouncing around doing lives too.
Rick said he did 400 miles in Phoenix too, but he was another 26 miles on the other side of us.
He had a long ride in.
And he said Sunday was a hero's ride, and that was only 70 miles.
And so they had a bunch of rides there too. They had a lot of rides.
Every day they had a ride.
Yeah. So they had a lot of different things to do. So it was kind of cool. Dealerships had a lot of different stuff going on. So it could be, you could get there and you could keep
busy.
Every day you could have something to do. And the Tortilla Flats, we were going to do that, but it ended up being, it was like an hour and a half ride out, an hour and a half back, and we just didn't have that much time. And I didn't want to go that far on either one of the two bikes. I miss my bike. I enjoy riding a full dresser, and it's a whole lot more comfortable than riding smaller bikes. And she's the same way. When we do a long ride, she'd rather ride on the back of my bike than drag her little sports stroller around. And so
I only took both of us on my bike once when we went up to Cave Creek that night.
So it was most of the time we always took the two bikes. And but like I say, it's both of them are running halfway decent. I think we got hers figured out what's wrong with hers now. So we'll see how that goes. Probably won't ride it again until Sturgis, but we'll see what happens. And then I got to get the other bike fixed. Well, if we have to put 100 miles on it, maybe I don't know. Well, we won't be back till after Sturgis or after. I don't think we're going to have much time between Myrtle Beach and heading off to Sturgis. So
probably have a week and a half.
I doubt if we can have that much.
Well, you're getting back right after the end of May. So May 26th or something, you're coming back. And then,
so if you take 3 days to get to Sturgis.
So that'll be, we have to leave on the 7th. So you'll have a week and a half.
We'll see. Remember she said that. We might have to bring this video back up because she's still got to load the trailer up for
I can't
Sturgis.
do that until right before. I can't put any clothes in it because half the clothes are in Florida, half the clothes we got to wear. I can't put any food in it because it's all going to get yucky before we leave. And what was the other thing I said I couldn't do? There was 3 things. It's like, he says, you got to get this trailer all done before we go to Sturgis. When we get back, we can just hop in it and go. I can't do that.
Just got to fill the clothes in. And the food. But so you have to clean it all up. You got to scrub it. You want to wash it. You want to do this and that.
Steven's on. He said he had the poo-poo rodeo up in Myrtle Beach next to Bass Pro Shop. Only 1 drop.
1 drop of rain?
I don't know.
Or 1 drop?
Had the, Popo rodeo up in, I said poo-poo. Myrtle Beach next to Bass Pro Shop. Only 1 drop. What does that mean? Only
I guess they were riding motorcycles. It must have been a motorcycle rodeo.
Like the civilian rodeo? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the Popo were doing it. So one of them dropped the bike.
Well, that's not bad.
Well, they shouldn't drop any.
Yeah.
Usually you don't see them drop any bikes. But yeah, it was pretty neat. And Myrtle Beach will be here. We're going to be staying with Steven. And she'll be there a couple days early, unless we end up finding a place to haul my bike back. We haven't talked to. We was going to talk to.
Customs.
Yeah, no, I was going to talk to Rick Rack and see if they had room in their truck to haul my bike, and then I would ride with All About Customs too, and then have them drop us off at his house, and then we just sit around there all day. I'm just looking at Steven. He already said we use his car, and so that'll be exciting, different, and he's pretty centrally located too. He's kind of like in the middle of everything, so it's not. We'll still have good location to go north and go, I guess.
Judy Boone's. I'm going to end my diet so I can eat at Judy Boone's when we get there, Stephen.
And then we're going to Mammy's for breakfast.
Yep.
At least twice. I love Mammy's. Richard Brooks likes to go to Mammy's too.
Yep. Next Saturday, if anyone's in Vegas, there's a National Patriots Poker Run starting at the Red Rock Harley-Davidson dealership, ending at the Henderson dealership.
There you go.
Yeah, we've been on over 2.5 hours.
Holy Jennifer, I'm going for the monkey record, 5 hours.
No, we're not. We're not doing that.
Give me a shot.
Hey, Ella.
Give me a shot.
Even Ella says
Give me a shot. Oh, have a shot.
that stuff.
Shot. Isn't that what they do?
I don't know.
That's something like that.
Anyway, all the money goes to the veterans. There you go.
That's right. And that's what we're doing. With our bike builds, it's a 501.
If you need to ride my fat boy Bob, it was at Judy's last week. Awesome.
And so there I have my bike. My bike will get there my bike would be.
Well, you said if Rick Rack brings it, you hit them when they get there.
Yeah, they should be there pretty quick too. They're going to be there Monday or Tuesday too. So they're probably going to be there on Monday. So we'll see how that all works out. So it should all work out. If not, I'm riding the bike up and she'll be there a couple days before I get there then. And so we'll have to just see how it all works out. I haven't talked to Rick Rack because you don't know. They got 2 more rallies to do before that. As I asked one of the guys,
they go all the way back home.
But see, that one guy was confused because he said, "Oh yeah, we'll have a week to be home." No, you don't. The rally starts that next week. It's so he didn't know. He screwed up. He's thinking because sometimes we do have a week before it starts.
Yeah.
We've been there and we had a whole week of running around before it starts. Well, this year it's right behind each other. So when he said that, I was like, I'm going to look at my calendar again. So I looked here. So Panama City Thunder Beach Rally ends on the 4th. Myrtle Beach starts on the 9th. So that's he ain't going to get enough. Because they said, well, we'll come in on Sunday. You can't come in on Sunday unless you leave here and come on Sunday.
Well, they can't open until that following Monday, remember? It starts at a different time.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's right. Stephen. What day does the dealership open up on? Is it Monday the 12th for the rally? When do they get to open? Stephen should know.
The 12th.
He'll tell us in a minute. Tell me that. Tell me. Tell me.
Give me that thing.
Yeah. See if I got any special messages. Nope.
Nothing important?
Bank America says your statement's in. I don't need to see my statement. I see it online. So, waiting for Stephen. Stephen, are you still there? Type in, what day is it open?
He's probably going to look.
He's calling him up.
They're not open.
He knows somebody, they can call him at home. Yeah. Somebody just wrote.
Monday.
There you go. So, yeah. It's
with a mad face.
You're not working this year, are you? You're going to have fun with us.
He's going to hang around with us. He's going to be our chaperone or
He always likes to go, what's that bar up there you always like to go to?
Captain Andrews, Captain Arthur's, Captain something.
Captain something. Archie's.
Archie's, yeah, that's it.
See, I remember the name this time.
How about that? I don't know. Buy a LED tail light from Rick Rack. They are great. Oh, you ended up buying it?
They fixed you all up?
There you go.
He was looking there. He was going to bring it in the next day. I guess the day he was going to go on that ride.
Well, no, he said he had his bike there. So he says, when we left, I think he said, I'm going to bring my bike in. I got my bike here. I might as well just bring it in and let him look at it. So that's cool. Good job. Captain Archie's.
There you go.
I had the captain right. And I had an A. It started with an A.
We were watching on our TV at home. We've got I'm getting internet TV now. We get all these beach channels. So one's on Myrtle Beach, one's on Panama City. They got what's the other one on? Destin. And so we've been watching some of that because we know, hey, we're getting close to beach time. And I like Florida. I just wouldn't want to live there.
The streaming thing we have, it's got 5,000 channels. And that's just American channels. And then you can watch anywhere in the world. And I'm sure they all have 5,000 channels on it. It's crazy. So all I hear all night is click, click, click.
Well, some of them don't work.
2 minutes.
Well, you can't see what's on. It doesn't.
2 minutes.
It just shows you the station. Well, most of them, every time you turn them, it's a freaking commercial. And then I watch 5 commercials, and then it's some stupid show that I don't want to watch. So if it's commercial, I just click the next one. Click, click, click.
When the Roku first came out, we had a breakout box for that. And it was almost like Space Invaders. You know that click, 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 click. That's all I heard all night. I'd rather not have TV than to just click through a bunch of
Well, sometimes I just turn Pluto on. We watch the Love Boat a lot.
Oh.
Watch the Love Boat And what's Miami Vice?
Where did you get that?
Get what?
I don't know.
I don't know. You have to go back to what we were talking about.
Probably your breakout box thing.
Oh, for my internet?
Your streaming thing?
I actually got it off. It's. Do you have a Fire Stick? It's a guy off the internet. And
you sent it to Mindy. Look at Mindy's.
Oh, okay. Oops. Texting. Mindy. Here it is. Let me click on it so I can bring up the guy's channel. So let me type this in. This is so you have to go to YouTube and let me skip this. Let me hit. I'm going to give you the guy's name. So you can look this up and you'll see all the stuff he does.
But he tells you how to get it and what to do, and it's all free except for the VIN thing.
Well, he recommends you get it to where you're bouncing off. Okay, so that's the YouTube channel there. And what I did is the one that I watch is the top 5 apps for free movies, TV shows, and sports.
Electrical MD?
Yeah, Electrical MD. And that's his
YouTube channel.
So he's showing you the movies you can get. But what he recommends
You're welcome, Art. Did you email me your information? Because he said he's going to be in Leesburg, I think, Art. So email me your contact information, phone number, and I'll text you, and then we'll have each other's number because I don't want to miss you. Electrical MD. Okay, that was us.
And so if
you did it twice.
No, because it's coming up on both channels. So I got it on the cars and trucks too, just in case somebody's over there.
Mike said, "Okay, thanks." Yeah. So and he tells you how to watch the whole video, and he shows you how to do it and what you can get, and you can get 5 million channels, and you can just click your little heart out.
Well, you can go to any country. Like if you wanted to see Iran news, you could go to Iran, which we're not limiting that. But some of it. But then it gives you one that gives you all the major stations. So you get CBS, ABC, NBC, but they're all coming out of New York. But the times watching it on TV, it's still, the times are about right. It's not like we're watching them at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to see the 6 o'clock news. So I don't know how that's working, that it comes across at the right time. I don't understand that part. But but you can't fast forward through any of the shows because everything's just live. But a lot of the stations
really record it either.
Yeah, so it's all you got the MeTV, CW's on there. There's just a whole bunch of stuff.
Pluto, tons of Pluto channels.
But you can go to Pluto and get Pluto for free anyway. So then if you go through Pluto, you get all the free channels and it tells you what's being played. Well, see on this one you can't see what's being played. It just says this is ABC in New York, CBS in Miami, Florida, whatever you want to watch. So. But a lot of those are only their streaming service, where it's usually just the newscast that they're showing. But I've got Reels is on there. We watched last. We can watch PD Live on that. We can watch, but it's better than, we have a breakout stick too that we bought from a friend of our son-in-law's, and that's nicer, the breakout stick, because you can go to channels and you can see what's being played. But you got to click through every one. So the same thing.
You can't search.
But I had to pay like $159 for that, and then it's $99 a year after that because you got the stick the first time. But it spins like last night. We watched a movie. We watched it was a Patrick Swayze and what's that other guy's name?
Keanu Reeves, and had Sigourney Weaver in it. It was about a bunch of surfers, and Keanu Reeves was a FBI guy.
And we had no spinning the whole way through it.
And his name was John.
And she thinks that maybe that's where
that's John a spin off to John Wicks.
Yeah,
I don't know.
She thought that's what she thought. Because he really fought like that too. He fought really good and stuff. But I don't know if it had anything to do with that or not. We don't even know what the name of the movie was because it was on Cinemax, and we just flipping around, and she goes, "Oh, I didn't know we got Cinemax." I said, "Yeah, but you got to click on it and see which one it is." And we didn't see the whole movie, but we seen most of it.
What movie did Patrick Swayze?
She's seen what the name of
Keanu
it was.
Reeves on. It was a surfer and an FBI agent.
And
He was undercover FBI. Point Break,
yeah.
1991.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Had a lot of people in it, stars in it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was kind of, he was supposed to be what it was.
Patrick Swayze, yeah, and that Gary Busey.
Yeah.
I guess I won't say anything. But and it had Sigourney Weaver in it, but it doesn't show her name.
But it was kind of cool. The whole movie's about that. I guess somebody's breaking and robbing all these banks, and I guess they suspected, these two FBI guys suspected, they're both kind of screw ups, I guess. And
they put them together.
Yeah, and they put them together to do this. Well, he got into the surfing thing. Well, then I won't tell you how they all figured out who they might have been.
Who was what and who was where.
But it was a pretty good movie. It was worth watching. It's something we watched before we went to sleep. And because we usually just watch a little TV before we go to bed. And so you watch that. But so yeah, we're just tired of paying for cable. Been paying,
I got Roku, Steven says.
Yeah. And but you could still he's probably got one for Roku too, that you could download all this stuff on it, because it's just internet TV is all it is, just using the internet. You're not really, but he might have other ones. I just typed it, kind of popped up on my feed, and I thought, this guy says it's free, so let's see what it is. Well, then what he wanted you to buy is a thing where you use a different UP address, so you're bouncing off. There's no way anybody legally can find out that you're using.
You're getting all this free TV stuff.
And so and then you can put it on all your phones and your TVs, your phones, and everything else. You get it like, I don't know, 10 things for like $25 for the year. Oh, well, $25 is worth it. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. I've been paying $75 for our freaking internet, or for the cable that we've had, and there ain't nothing on there half the time to watch either, because these stupid shows like HBO plays the same movie every day, same time, all the time. And it's like
over and over and over.
It's like, how many times do I need to see Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? It's on this year 365 times, not counting when it's on at midnight, whenever they're playing it again, and on the same channel, same time. And it's like, it's not worth having. You pay all this money. Our daughter's like that. They were paying like $150, and you get some sports. I got to watch the Cardinal game the other night. St. Louis Cardinals were playing. I found that on there, and I was able to watch it, and I didn't pay anything for it. Major League Baseball. But it's not like it's not worth me to watch it, because we don't have that much time to watch TV. We watch a little bit before we go to bed, and sometimes I turn it on during the day to watch the news or something, see what Trump's doing, or what Elon Musk is doing, or what the Democrats are doing, or see who's doing what and who did what to who and how that happened. I mean, we wouldn't know about that helicopter wreck if we didn't watch TV, because we don't really.
The shootings, a lot of times, thank goodness there hasn't been any shootings lately, but.
Let's say a lot of stuff when we're at rallies and stuff, we're not watching the news. We don't listen that's why I tell people they shouldn't advertise on radio. Who listens to a local radio station when you're at a motorcycle rally? I listen to my phone. I've got my Spotify that we listen to, and that's what we listen to. I'm not going to thumb around looking for stupid stations. We used to listen to CDs when we didn't have Spotify or didn't have internet like that, or your phone didn't work that way. So I'm not listening to anything local, and we don't have time to watch the news. We're out freaking riding our motorcycles.
Or editing.
Yeah. Or I'm looking to see what the weather is. I just use my phone to see what the weather's for the day is. I'm not. So that's why I said
some major channels like Fox have delay, but who cares? Yeah.
I don't care. If it's giving you, if you're still seeing the same thing, I don't care.
I'm on my phone. Yeah.
And so we just got tired of the point of paying for all this stuff. You pay for all this stupid TV stuff, and they're playing the same crap over and over. And we're not in there with a lot of TV shows. She likes that Matlock that is on.
The new Matlock.
Yeah,
with the lady.
She's been watching that, and then we usually watch Chicago Fire. But other than that, that's really about the only two TV shows that we watch. But now with all this, we can go back and find older episodes. Yeah, and go back and see, because we get Netflix. And we also have Amazon Prime. So we get the Amazon stuff with the commercials now. But she gets the Netflix. She gets Netflix through our phones, T-Mobile. We get Netflix. So we have that too.
What else were we supposed to get? Remember I called and they said, oh, yeah, you get that
Apple
too.
or something.
Oh, yeah, Apple TV.
But never, I don't know. But my daughter here's got Apple. And
more. How much? You can never watch anything because you flip through so many channels. I don't know. Are we done?
No, we're going for 5 hours.
No, we're not. I'm leaving in a minute.
Where you going?
I got to go to the bathroom.
Potty's calling?
Yes, it is.
I guess we're done. We're down to 30 people. Everybody went to bed on the East Coast.
Yep. Stephen's on.
You know.
So anyway, we hope you enjoyed our evening tonight. Now, see, it's already dark outside. But we appreciate all of you. We thank all of you for all your support and hanging in there with us, and see you at the rallies. Don't forget to support our sponsors and tell them Bob and Tam sent you if you go see them. And subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share us with your family and friends. Give us a big thumbs up. Ring that bell for notifications. And we'll see you on the next video.
Yeah, don't click that yet. Let me make sure I got memory. I haven't looked at that in a while. StreamYard. If we don't have any memory, this won't be saved and it'll be gone. And I won't be very happy that we lost it all. Oh, yeah, now you made me have to pee.
Jeff Wolf's on. What did he say? It's always great to dun, 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 we're in suspense. Mike Ron says, thanks for the info, Bob and Tam. You're welcome, Mike.
Here, I'll just delete a few things.
Rick says,
okay, that should be enough.
I picked up the Fox Phoenix and the campground for free that weekend on my TV. There you go.
We had good TV when we were there. That being in Phoenix, you got all the stations. We had plenty of. There was like 75 channels.
The show was always great. Thanks, Joe.
So we got memory, so this should be saved. So we'll see all of you on a video coming next.
Or a rally near you. We'll see you because they're coming up quick. 12 days.
Holy Jennifer Jupiter's Batman.
Good night.
Bye.